Good morning, good afternoon. There it is. Better late than never. Good evening. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what's going on. It usually means when you start like that, things can only get better. But welcome back. Freaky Friday is here. We're live. And well, who knows? The Wookiee is still caught in some kind of time loop. I think he thought we were having another week off there, guys. But no, we're back. And we're back with a vengeance, yes. Missed you all last week. Missed our Freaky Friday. Look at Joe, raring to go there. Look at that happy, smiley face, man. It's just, you're full of it. What's brought on all this enthusiasm, Joe?
It's that time of the week, and it's, the cornucopia of woo we have awaiting people for 3 hours.
It truly is a woo-filled evening, but not only that, our very own Scotty Lopez, that way in fact, he is going to be a very special guest on Brent Thomas' Paranormal Portal right after Freaky Friday on TFR Live today. Because
a
Joe,
veritable marathon, if you will, of Scotty Lopez.
Well, Joe, this is the thing, dude, and I don't want to give too much away because I want people to stay tuned for Brent's show as well. But remember, Scott had like the portal and the shadow people and things like that. Scott, I'll let you tell Joe as much as you want to get into, because I'm the one that censors you and gags you. So I'm letting you off the leash today, man. I'm even letting you go over to Brent's place to hang out. Dang, dude.
No, we just had some interesting activity taking place, to say the least. And it'll be interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna be on the portal tonight with Brent. We're gonna like really, really dig into it. But just to give Joe a little background on what happened, my brother's friend was backing out of the driveway, and a figure just kind of showed up behind the vehicle, and he kind of drove through it, and he didn't hit anybody. So that was kind of a interesting situation.
Was there hallucinogens involved?
No.
None at all.
None at all.
Well, there's also photographic evidence, because I see Joe's skeptical-looking face there. Look at that. Look at it. The face of chiseled skepticism. Not believing your brother. Well, I'll back him up, because I've seen the photos as well, but you see.
So was it a shadow person? Was it like a dark figure?
That it was like mist.
No way. So like ethereal, if you will, almost.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. No
Wow.
face, but basically 2 black holes where the eyes and the mouth would be. But no face.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a very, very crazy incident that my brother's friend is still freaked out about it. Like, he's still all tripped out about what he experienced out there. He's like, oh my God. He's like, dude, your house is haunted. I mean, he was just freaking out because you don't just drive through something and like not hit it.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
So make sure, folks, that you tune in immediately following Freaky Friday to take a journey through Scotty's portal with Brent Thomas.
That sounded a whole lot ruder than it really ought to have. But that's kind of how we roll here on Freaky Friday. And of course, you guys today, you would have loved to have been present for the KBS Safe Space Christmas party. We kept it very woke today, indeed. We had very nice. Christmas carols. We had woke gifts. Oh, it was absolutely fun and games. Yes, the politically correct wonderland of Christmas. Who knew Christmas could be so controversial?
As long as you don't offend anybody. So good luck.
Even Rudolph, dude. Even Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer is taking absolute...
Get out of here.
The bullying, the Twitter, to paraphrase one of the Twitter, a growing adult, I used to enjoy Rudolph every Christmas, but now I've noticed it's full of bullying, harassment, and Santa's white privilege. Indeed.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
That's
Who
right.
knew? Who knew? But I am going to make my way over to the not so woke, but very awake TFR chat room. And if you want to get in there, you've got really limited time if you want a roll call from yours truly. I mean, what else do you want on a Friday evening, right? I know it didn't work, but hey, listen, get on over there, tfrlive.com/chat, where myself, Sophia the robot, are having brown chicken, brown cow liaisons. We're making ones and twos at one another in the virtual room over there. We've got Silamo. We've also got Cold Brews. Nice one. Nice name. Like that. New name. The Wookiee. Paradoxical Anomaly. We've also got Bam. All one. Bill 14, as I call him, because there's nothing unlucky about Bill. We've got the wonderful Carol. And the one, the only, Pollination. We're going out on tfrlive.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio apps, Talk Stream Live, and simulcasting on YouTube. So whatever way you're listening to the show, welcome. And remember, like we said, 5 hours, because we do the abnormal. In fact, is Brent's show 2 hours or 3 hours long?
It is 2 hours.
Thank goodness, because if it had been three...
I will be taking a 30-minute break after Freaky Friday, and then I will be on during the second segment, and then from that point on, me and Brent are just going to go wherever.
Well, you see, that's where I step in and I prepare you for your interview. Obviously, being your handler and the man that suppresses your wisdom and keeps you on this tight leash that I'm told, Scott, I'll be telling you what you can and can't say when you go into Brent's.
Oh, very good indeed, because, you know, you have to really be careful about that kind of stuff. Understanding
Redacted.
full well the
Redacted.
you know, the effects it has on Kev's future Google career.
There really isn't quite an answer to that. I'm thinking, okay, Joe's got fed up with our rather long-winded intro here, and he's just going to step in with a story. But no, he just came in with a vicious personal attack on yours truly. What a great way. Only 3 hours to go. This ain't going to be a long night then, is it? Me.
No.
It's okay. Look at my Chewy mug. How
Very
cool
nice.
is it? You
Very
got
nice indeed.
You see? Yes. Ply me with gifts and I love you long time, Joe. So where are we starting then? On this journey of the woo?
I have no idea.
Joe, you fired
anywhere
about
you'd like to go.
you fired about 50 bajillion links at me. I'm overwhelmed.
And because of that, I did all that work.
Now you're just going to sit
it up
back.
to you to go ahead and select from the cornucopia of woo that I have drummed up for you this evening.
Oh, dear Lord. It's going to be like this then, Scott. It's one of these evenings, is it? Well, I tell you what, we'll start with one of your stories. And it's funny because today I was speaking to Popeye. You know our good friend Popeye. Everyone remembers Popeye, and we're getting close, folks.
Speaking of kitty fiddlers, yes.
Yes, we're getting close. He will soon be making his big comeback, not just to this show, but to the internet himself as Popeye, down the rabbit hole, uncut and unleashed. And he was saying, Kev, I'm getting the studio ready. And then he sent me this song, Joe. He sent me like Thunderstruck from AC/DC.
Oh,
and it's
okay,
but it gets worse, right? Because it's the scene out of Battleships, right? And it's all the old boys getting the old battleship ready to go. And
no.
So I said to him, oh, Popeye, I was almost ready to keep an eye open for you there, but then I remembered they gave the Coast Guard the day off that day when they filmed that scene, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because if you listen to Popeye, you would think he's like won wars, like saving Navy ships himself, just single-handedly, armadas, at Popeye's behest. But in reality, did he not like just like throw rubber rings out of a boat in Baywatch or something?
Department of Transportation, Kev. Department of Transportation.
I know that was with a knife with Scotty.
Fired.
But I done
Not even Department of Defense.
You see, but
Totally
I done it to him.
different department.
I done it to him. It's okay because I said this to him in person. It's not like I'm just like doing it behind his back. He knows. That's the way me and Popeye roll. That's love between me and Popeye.
That's the thing with Popeye. See, I'm equal opportunity. I make sure his back isn't left out. Not only do we say it to his face, but we also have to say it to his back too, because you wouldn't want his back to be.
Well, it's funny.
Backside to be. What would you call it? Butt hurt?
Yeah, because it's funny because that kind of takes us. It segues nicely to one of the stories that you brought along today, right?
Very nice indeed.
And you like how I done that one? That was good. And this here, Scotty, you're going to love this as well. We're getting into some really deep woo here. And
Ooh.
yeah, this is like haunted ships and stuff like that. This could be very, very, very good woo indeed. So wait till I just get sorted here.
That's a topic I really.
It's something we don't talk about a lot for the amount of woo that we cover on here. But here we go.
Yeah.
Let's do it, right? It says, dark waters, strange experiences aboard haunted cruise ships. So people go on cruises to enjoy themselves. And they're considered by many to be the epitome of vacation luxury. And it is understandable considering the floating cities they venture out on, complete with every amenity they could ever want. No one goes on a cruise expecting some weird, ghostly phenomena, but this is exactly what happens in some cases, and cruise ships can seemingly be just as haunted as anywhere else. One cruise ship that has gotten a bit of talk surrounding it, or surrounding its alleged haunting, is the Norwegian cruise line ship called the Norwegian Dawn, a 965-foot, 15-deck vessel that started service back in 2002 and which specialises in Caribbean cruises, and incidentally, the Bermuda Triangle. Now, it is known for its elaborate hull art, spacious rooms, and luxurious amenities, but here, among all of the opulence, scenic vistas of azure waters, white sands and beaches, and island paradises, there have been some creepy reports of something very spooky aboard the liner. It probably it's not Popeye.
Ooga booga. Yeah, it's definitely not. Well, he's spooky, but he wasn't on that line.
Not that one anyway. Not that we know of. We'll redact it, okay? It probably makes sense in a way because there have been several deaths aboard the ship over the years, including one woman who fell from one of the upper balconies to come crashing to her death on the deck below. And it's the ghost of this woman who is said to be the most active here. Now, described as being a young woman with short blonde hair, she is said to be particularly likely to wander about the 9th and 10th floors of the ship, believed to be general area from which she fell to her doom. Now, guests have reported seeing her walk along only to vanish into thin air right before their eyes, or to see her climb up upon the balcony to leap off. In more frightening encounters, the ghostly woman appears in guest rooms, in particular 9506, 10626, 10628, we get the idea. One witness called Dustman left a report on the site, Cruise Critic, of a strange experience in room 9506, of which he says, are you ready now? This is where it's going to get ooga booga. Here's something different for everyone to chew on. My wife, who's a physiotherapist, is convinced that 9506 has some harmless ghost messing around in there. And I would go on to say there is no such thing as a harmless ghost. No, there just isn't. I don't think so. Unless it's Casper, but he's not real. You get me? She claims that the dividing curtain behind the bedroom and living room was picked up as if by hand, held up, and then dropped a few seconds later. I never saw it, but she is positive it happened right in front of her eyes. And she's a mental health professional. I had nothing but good vibes there, and so did she. Didn't seem unpleasant or unkind at all, whatever it was. But she said there was no gusts of wind, no nothing, just picked up just picked up from the floor about 3 feet, held up, then the curtain dropped. Weird. That's not so scary. So we've got another report here. This report is keeping with the general consensus that the ghost is not malevolent or frightening in any way, and it has been speculated that she doesn't even know she's dead, and she is spooky all the same. And another report comes from a commenter called Kevin Crushing on the same site, of which also shows the relatively harmless yet still unsettling nature of the entity. Well, if that's a harmless one, we'll go down, right? Because it's all one thing, little bumps here, little bumps there, but we're Freaky Friday. We want to get into things flying around, Joe.
Course, well, yeah, but of course, this ship here was commissioned in 2002. It just goes to show you that, at any point, at any time, these entities can show themselves to you. They have that power to be able to do that. I don't know of or can tell you of any harmless entities. I think Kev's absolutely right. Casper's not real, and consequently, uh, so are harmless ghosts. They're not real. And if you look back in some recent histories, especially with cruise ships, I think it was the QE2 and the QE, the original QE, that were extremely haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, for some reason with cruise ships, there's it seems to be a regular.
I've got a
occurrence.
theory. I've got a theory about it, Scott. What do you think of this, right? Water. You got all that rushing water, obviously with the sea, everything else. I think there's energy, memory attached to water, things like that. And maybe that same spirit appears on many boats. Maybe it just is in the area, that kind of thing. They're attached to the water. And I get that some are attached to particular boats, but I think that kind of thing falls into the residual haunting then. It's not something you could even communicate with. You're just basically watching some replay, right?
Yeah.
But the ones that do reach out and pretend they're granny or granddad and they're just here to help you, they're the ones that I'm really skeptical of being good intentioned, Scott.
Well, I think the whole thing with ships, and like these hauntings is just interesting in general because like you have ghost ships, right?
Yeah.
Just like the whole ship is a ghost.
Yeah.
Um,
right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that it has something to do with, crossing ley lines and things like that where.
Yeah, because then you're in the Bermuda Triangle, just like they said.
Exactly.
Plus, not only
So
that,
maybe
Joe.
Then dealing with
Maybe
even
you're getting
more-
hitchhikers along the way. You know what
Well,
I mean?
think
Like
of it again.
across an open door.
You've got mountains under the water.
Right. Exactly.
So you've got
Exactly.
vortex type areas above it, right? So
Yeah.
and they don't even know what's underneath them half the time, right? I mean,
No.
our oceans are very, very unexplored. So you're in the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, who knows what you're going over? And with these ships, you have to think. I mean, look, we talk about haunted hotels all the time,
mhm.
right? And these ships are holding just as many people. It's a floating hotel that's on the ocean, and it's carrying people, and different people are coming in and out of it, and they're floating cities in many cases. And so the entire ship is just a huge collection of people, at any given moment. And so
I'm telling you, before I leave the face of this planet, whatever it is, ones and zeros, real, illusionary, I don't know. Nobody knows, right? But I intend to go on one of these luxury cruises, boys. That is like lording it for 2 weeks. You can just forget about everything. Put your feet up. Yeah, I'm an astronaut. Do whatever. Live the other life. Live the high life. Dude.
Until you get hit by a rogue wave or something in the Bermuda Triangle, then it kind of sucks.
There's none of those in the brochure, Scott. That won't happen. Don't be silly. But we'll go back to this story, right? Because it says there are supposedly other ghosts aboard the Norwegian Dawn. Isn't this kind of weird, Scott? Oh, we've got a super chat. Super chat might be... it's a super chat. Thank you very much, Lance. So then... Now, just before I go on, Scott, the Norwegian thing, the Nordic kind of element to this, after... Oh, we've got another one coming in. Dang! Lisa, thank you very, very
Brown
much.
chicken, brown cow PMSL.
Yes, indeed. So, Scotty, I'll try. Third time lucky, right? But we were talking with Max about the deep woo, okay? The little people, the tunnels, everything else, right? And again, we're going back now, and it's a Norwegian ship that this story is talking about. And we lost Joe. Did we get Joe? He's back. I think he's back. He might be back. He swapped places with Scott, but it's all good. We'll get that fixed in a minute. Don't you worry about that. Here we go. So, Scott, I find it a bit weird, a bit synchronistic on my week where I done my coincidence show. That now, randomly, Joe sends me the story about haunted ships, and it's got a Nordic angle to it. Oh, come on. I don't know. It's weird, dude. It's just weird. But we'll get back into it here. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. So then it says, there are supposedly other ghosts aboard the Norwegian Dawn as well, often seen as going about their business as if still alive. That's the residual ones. That's what they call them, I think. They're like replays, right? And in some cases, spectral forms can be seen cleaning the rooms or cooking in the kitchen late at night after staff have gone home, only to evaporate into thin air. And think about that, folks. I mean, imagine that was like your auntie or your uncle that's a deckhand and they're cleaning, and that's their existence for eternity, just scrubbing that room. You see that? That for me, it's just a replay. Their energy's elsewhere, but an imprint, something in them, something at that time, the emotion they had in them, something left that there. And for some reason, it's like some quantum loop. It just keeps playing. People see it from time to time, but again, far different from the other ghosts that try to communicate with us, Scotty boy.
Yes. I mean, it just depends on the type of. Yeah, I think there's like different types of hauntings, right? Different types of classifications of what you would consider a ghost, right? So you do have the ones that are basically a replay, like just an imprint of energy or something that is just replaying in a loop. You know, it was just imprinted in that, within that base. So very, very, very interesting.
Yes,
but then
indeed.
like ghosts, yeah, I mean, it's like, or even think about some of the artifacts that maybe are pulled out of ships that have sunk. And those artifacts are probably haunted.
Yeah.
Or hold some kind of energy. You know what I mean? Like you pull something up from a shipwreck.
Yeah, you got to imagine like what was happening at that time, the trauma, the fear when that was going down and things. Absolutely. So it goes on to say there have been many reports of such activity made by not only ghosts but also paranormal investigators who have come to check the area out and do a little ghost hunting. Now, one paranormal investigator, not our own Jason, unfortunately, but Amy Bruni from the show Ghost Hunters, was on a cruise from New Orleans to Mexico with some others and says of her own bizarre experience on the ship. We had knocking on our door, 3 raps. Then down the hall, each door, as if a steward was checking the rooms. No one in the hall. It happened for a couple of hours and our TV went nuts for a while. Most of the activity was during the night of the storm, which I suppose you could say may have played some part. But another cruise ship claimed to be haunted is the vessel Windsurf, a 5-mast behemoth known for being one of the largest sailing cruise ships in the world, and perhaps also one of the most haunted. The ship's spa area is said to be frequented by shadowy figures and moving objects, flickering lights on and off, or lights flickering on and off, sorry, and water faucets turning on or off by themselves are all commonly reported phenomena around the ship, as are anomalous noises and odours. Now, a few of the eerie tales aboard the liner were recounted by ship cruise worker Brian David Bruns in his book Cruise a la carte, and they are pretty odd indeed. One account shared was given by Bruns by another crew member who explained to him, I've noticed things moving behind the desk a lot, but you know the melon slices we keep in the urn for drinking water? I heard a gurgle or something and looked up in that direction. In the blink of an eye, they vanished. Then splat, right in front of me, right in the middle of the desk, the melons reappeared, soaked all my paperwork and everything. Another time I was doing my paperwork, it was about midnight, and a guest walked right past me. I saw her clearly as she passed, middle-aged, long brown hair, and a T-shirt that made her look chunky. I told her we're closed for the night, but she just walked through the spa and into Natalie's massage room. I followed right behind her, calling out, I was angry, actually, because I've had a bad time and stupid passengers complaining all day. I was going to give this lady a piece of my mind. When I got to Natalie's room, I flipped the light switch on, and nobody was there. Oh. There are apparently numerous other sightings along these lines, but we'll need to get back to them after the break, because we're going to go away for 3 short minutes. I'm going to get a nice drink of coffee. I think I've got coffee there. Hopefully I've got coffee there. If not, I'll run and grab one. But we'll be back. More of the hauntings from the sea. And then, Scott, we've also got a story about some of the aquatic humanoids that have been spotted over the years. Oh, yes, indeed. It's all coming right here on Freaky Friday. Don't go anywhere, folks. We are going to be right back. Stay tuned. There we go. My absolutely horrendous singing, folks, is to try and get round maybe a bit of copyright there. Because I tell you what, Scott, there he is, the man. Were you scratching your balls there, Joe? Because honestly,
No.
that sounded like a right ball scratchy noise. But I mean, some noises you just can't. Are you like playing with the webcam? Are you scratching the webcam? Is it ball shaped? So, folks, obviously, we didn't forget we're still live on YouTube, but this is how we roll. Everything fixed now, Joe?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Lined out. Seems to be better now, though.
Have you still got storms where you are?
I wouldn't exactly call it a storm, but it's crappy out. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Once I go up to the 1 gigabit broadband, Joe, I'll send you some of my speed,
Oh,
all right?
that would be swell. Thank you so much.
No problem, dude. It's the trade-off. You know, you live in the smart city. This is what they give you, you see? That's what it is. So, folks, we've got lots to get into. We've got too many links here. We'd probably have to do 2 Freaky Fridays. But don't forget, Scotty Boy. Yes, Brent Thomas, looking forward to it. Oh,
Yes.
thank you very much, Jason. Our intrepid
Merry
ghost
woke
hunter.
Maskev Joe and Scotty Ooga Booga.
Ooga booga booga.
We can't hear Brian, Kev. on
You
our
can't
end.
hear Brian?
No.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear
Yeah, this was
intro music.
Yeah, this was Joe's fault. Joe made me change all of my audio settings before the show. Can the audience out there hear Brian?
First of all,
They can hear Brian. They can hear Brian, but we
that
can't
was
hear
your
Brian.
fault.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
It's totally your fault.
It wasn't. Joe, I do shows all week on Skype and nothing, I repeat there, nothing is wrong. And then you come along once on a Friday and
Yeah.
you think it's my mistake when I
No.
touch nothing. Oh, see, now that makes sense. In an upside down world, that makes sense. In a world where men are women and women are men and Z's and they's and hers and who's and who knows what else.
No, but in the in the real world, you have more opportunities to generate a defect.
Oh,
So,
it's,
no.
it's a good way of looking at it, I suppose. Brian's quiet, very quiet. Ah.
I'm telling you, your audio's all messed up, dude.
I know it's all messed up because you made me change a setting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh,
I didn't have to.
Scott, you're
my meter was
closest to him.
going
Scott, you're closest to him. Where is he? He's over there. Hit him. Poke him in the ear, will you? If I was close to you, Joe, I'd stick something else in your ear. That's how close you're getting.
What? A little leprechaun weenie?
Only if I thought you wouldn't enjoy it so much, I would, Joe. There you go. But we're going back live to the network now. We'll continue.
Very good.
We'll continue this sparring
The
match
ghost
during
ships of death.
during the next break. It's okay. Let's go back. I'm watching the clock. Don't you worry. Have we got the Wookiee ready, Scotty boy? Is he warming up? Is Duke Nukem taking control of the Wookiee?
Oh no.
Here we go. Here we go.
Duke can take
Here we go.
control. Never.
Hey, the Wookiee is back. He is on it. So are we. Freaky Friday right here on tfrlive.com. Remember to tell everyone about Truth Frequency Radio, where silence is consent. So we've got Joe Joseph. He's back with us. His intermittent internet connection. It's those alphabet agencies, Joe, right? They give you so much grief that because you talk
That's
about
right, it's the NSA.
Yeah.
They're trying to shut us down.
you don't
Kev.
get to talk about the Nephilim.
They're
as-
censoring
Yeah.
you.
They're
you-
censoring us
You can't
actively.
exactly, Joe. I mean, tell us what it's like. I mean, what's it like living on the run because you do the odd show here and there talking about the Nephilim and dwarfs and UFOs. I mean, how much hassle? I mean, let the listeners know what it's like. The daily struggles against surveillance and all the shenanigans. You know, we don't talk about it much. We don't like to almost seem like we're bigging it up or anything. But come on, Joe, tell us what's it like.
They're trying to shut us down, Kev.
They coming for you, Joe? Have they got
We're all
camp?
gonna die, Kev.
Have they got camp just for you?
They do.
Do they?
They do.
Awesome, man. You on a
Yep.
list? Many lists are you
That's
on?
right.
What color of dot did you have on your letterbox?
Red one.
Oh.
Code red.
Oh.
Code red.
Code woke?
Carnus Village.
Oh.
Carnus Village.
Carnus Village.
Dang,
Sky
boys.
is blue. The chair is yellow. The chair is yellow, Kev.
Telling you, boys. Talking of chairs, anyone see that video that was going around of the Chinese citizen that was in a very interesting looking chair in the police station?
Yeah, dude, it was like a cage.
That was like something Hannibal Lecter should be in, dude.
Yeah.
The guy had only said something wrong on social media. That's all he had done. He'd criticised the police because they took somebody's moped off them.
And
they
then they leaked the example,
Oh.
for all to see so that they know not to do that.
I was going to say, because part of my head said, they'll be raging that got out. And then I thought to myself, there's only one way that gets out in China. Through them.
Right. They wanted it out.
Sitting there like Hannibal Lecter. If you haven't seen that, folks, Chinese chair. I'll try and find a picture and drop it in the TFR chat room over at tfrlive.com. So we were getting into the whole haunted ship thing before the break, and we're getting another story about one of these other ships now. And this is quite interesting because now we're getting a bigger picture. We'll see if there was anything more interesting happening on the windsurf. So we'll go back there right now and let's see what it says here. So then, windsurf had more resident ghosts than merely the spa. The cruise director and shore excursion manager both swore that they'd seen an apparition floating in the hallway outside the purser's office midship. The spectre was a shadowy yet overt outline of a man from the waist up. Both knew instinctively.
That sounds a lot like what Scotty saw.
Yeah.
Something like that, a shadowy figure.
Yeah,
something
yeah, that would
you
fall
can't
into this.
see
Yeah,
through.
for me, same
Yeah.
category, definitely. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it said both knew instinctively it was male. How toxic? How toxic? Imagine just assuming gender like that instinctively.
How dare they? How dare they?
Yeah, pesky
And
old
my bro-
instincts.
My brother's friend said that the figure that was behind the vehicle looked like he was standing in an aggressive stance. You know, like
He's ready to
like
go.
yeah, it got like he was ready. You know, hunched over. You know, kind of like bowing his arms out. You know, ready to go. And
You sure it wasn't a female ghost?
no, it was not
How
female
do we
ghost.
know that? How do we know that?
Just because of the stature, but who knows?
I don't know. You can't tell these days.
Do you think that goes on? Do you think that goes on like maybe
Exactly.
like when you get to like when you leave the old biological
When you
suit?
leave the old biological suit, do you think it's? You think there's a woke crowd
Yeah,
on the other side?
Yeah, woke ghosts, man.
Yeah, woke ghosts.
Hey. I spent my whole body trapped inside that pesky male thing with those horrible swinging Jim and the twins. Oh, hey.
Oh my gosh!
Come on,
I'm
dude.
so glad to be gender neutral now.
Hey, even ghosts. Come on, man. Ghosts are allowed to identify as what they want. Surely, maybe that's what we need to do when we're doing when people are doing Ouija boards. Is there anybody out
Yeah.
there? Is it a man? Is it a woman? Are you transitioning? Are you non-binary? Were you fluid? Because I mean, you don't want to offend anyone at the table, right?
That's why it's Moth. That's why it's Mothman.
That's
Mothman.
all right.
Mothman.
Yeah, are you? I know you don't identify as opaque. You're more of a mist, but we won't include you on that.
So it goes on to say here, yeah, both instinctively knew it was male, though the features could be seen on the hazy head. No features. By far, and here we go. This is going to get good now.
There it is.
Yeah, here we
See,
go.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
By far, probably the most famous haunted cruise liner is none other than Her Majesty's, yes, Queen Mary. During World War II, it saw active service as a warship initially. Painted a dull grey colour, the ship became known as the Grey Ghost and played an active part in carrying large numbers of troops as it outran enemy subs. Now, with its carrying capacity also modified for this purpose. Indeed, the end of the war, or by the end of the war, the HMS Queen Mary would transport around 800,000 troops and set the record for the most people ever put on a floating vessel, at one point carrying a staggering 16,683 people at one time. After its illustrious career as a military transport vessel, the HMS Queen Mary reverted back to a luxury passenger liner after the war, and a job it would continue to do until the 1960s, when the popularity of passenger liners began to wane and the ship was eventually decommissioned in 1967, after which it was moored at Long Beach, California, and turned into a floating museum and hotel, and thus ended the illustrious career of the HMS Queen Mary. With a total of 1,001 transatlantic voyages under its belt and various military accolades, its mark upon history assured. However, the story of this legendary vessel did not end there, and in the decades since been permanently docked, the HMS Queen Mary has accrued quite a sinister and eerie reputation for being intensely haunted. Now, the tales of hauntings and paranormal phenomena aboard the HMS Queen Mary are almost as famous as its colourful history. I've got an urge to put on like Joe's Sailor songs and things in the background here. I don't know. In a way, it makes sense that there should be some ghostly occurrences here, as there are at least 50 recorded deaths aboard the vessel during its lifetime, and the ship was also involved in a fatal accident during World War II when it struck the vessel Curacoa, resulting in 338 deaths. Now, perhaps some of these dead from the war have decided to stick around, and indeed, ghostly wails and frantic banging are said to be heard on occasion from the hull and the bow area that had been struck by the Caracoa in the tragedy. And another one of these would certainly be the spectre that reportedly inhabits the engine room. Here, there are frequent reports of pipes banging. Now, I'm sorry, but if pipes are banging in an engine room, can you really say that's definitely paranormal? I think,
No.
yeah, jury's out. Jury's out, right?
So I'm on the Queen Mary site right now, and I'm going to send this to you, Kev, real quick.
But if the
Check this out. Check this out. Go here. Now, it's a hotel, and they have packages now, and you can go there and stay the night. And one of the rooms is stateroom B340. And it says here, stateroom B340 has a large volume of recorded paranormal activities, with many stories of haunted encounters noted in the ship's logs. Reports date back to the final ocean voyage in 1967 and include complaints from guests staying in B340 claiming that someone was knocking on the door in the middle of the night. Other complaints include bathroom lights turning on by themselves, the sink faucet turning on and off on its own, and unexplained bathroom doors shutting. Are you brave enough to stay?
I wouldn't mind going on a cruise, but not in that room, right? Oh, hell no. Hell no, I want to enjoy my cruise. You crazy, dude. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. And then it comes back here, right? It says, where did we get to? Here there are frequent reports of pipes banging as well as sudden temperature drops, floating lights. Now, I can't say that's typical in any room. The engine room door inexplicably heating up, and anomalous smoke. In an engine room, again, all said to be the doing of a 17-year-old sailor named John Henry, who died here, who unfortunately died here, in a fire during wartime. The massive abandoned boiler room, incidentally, has at least one other spirit in the form of a ghost of a fireman named John Pedder, who was crushed by an emergency door here in 1966 and appears as a ghostly figure in blue overalls, wandering the area around the door known as Door 13. Yes. There are certainly numerous other ghosts and phantoms on the vessel, not connected to the war, and there are many areas of the ship that seem to be magnets for the paranormal. One intensely haunted area of the ship is the first and second class pool areas. The first class pool area, once a lavish space, reported to be the sound of splashing or wet, once a lavish space of shiny tile and opulent decor, now sits empty and used, so it should be empty and unused. Yet there are often, hey, DJ Bison, though, you don't want to be haunted by that.
I'm haunted by a smelly pirate hooker. Fish eating.
And since Joe's broke my audio, I'll read it out. DJ Bison said, I'm haunted by a smelly pirate hook. Fishy thing. Yes, indeed. So then, we'll get back to it. It says, the spectres of several women in period swimsuits can be seen walking or lounging about here before blinking out of existence or phasing through walls out of sight.
Wow.
Oh, with a slight caveat. Unless it's the ghosts of people who now identify as something different, not necessarily women, Scott. See? We've got to keep a woke spiritual world. Does that mean like 5 generations from now or so, Scott, or 6 generations, heaven's going to become woke? Because, I mean, all these virtuous, morally perfect people and everything else, they're going to be swelling the ranks up there, right? And when they get up there and it's full of all these toxic old souls, something's got to give. Something's got to give. And you know what it's like here in the real world? And we're merely a shadow of the great place. So just like here, the majority of us will need to just suspend our reality. We'll just have to pack common sense in a little bag right beside privacy and just pander to the few ghouls that are coming in getting offended by things, right?
Ghost lives matter.
Ghost lives matter, eh? Who knew, Joe, the pearly gates would lead to the heavenly safe space one day.
Yes.
Yeah.
The heavenly space
as the choir stand in the corner, not singing and doing jazz hands, so as not to offend the congregation of the big man.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I see it now, dude.
Oh my goodness, it's unbelievable.
And Begley on the corner. Begley will be like he'll be the TV kind of evangelist in the other dimension, right?
The just so you know, it's not something to joke around about, though. You know, as far as like having tours and ooga booga, let's go spend the night and have fun with the ghostie. The thing is this is not something to mess around with. You know, that's the problem, and they're making it a source of entertainment when in fact it's not the case at all. And who knows what ooga booga is going to latch itself onto you when you go there. And these things don't just park themselves there. A lot of times they'll find a nice, willing participant and latch on and off to the races you go.
Yeah, because not all of these are residual.
That's right.
You're also talking about just highly spiritually charged areas where the veil is really thin and entities can... You know, it's just like, would you go to a haunted hotel and hold some kind of a seance or
are you nuts? Like that's crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
You also have to think about like the intent of the individual that is on the ship as well. And, you know, these entities can tie themselves to people, and so it necessarily might not have even originated from the ship. It might have been somebody that was aboard the ship that already had some kind of a malicious entity or something tied to it, and
Absolutely.
you know what I mean. And so
Yeah.
it just all kinds of craziness.
And in the case of that Norwegian cruise liner, you know, the one that's transiting the Atlantic all the time and transiting the Bermuda Triangle, you know, you're constantly being subjected to these thinner places where you probably do have things transiting in that area, and
I
they
mean,
just-
think about it. I mean, that is crazy. The amount of people that the Queen Mary carried. I mean, just in soldiers alone, it was what, over 750,000, right?
Yeah,
800,000.
800,000. Yeah.
That is a lot of people to be
And then you
carrying.
got to wonder, you know, like, well, while it was serving as a transport, what kind of people and troops, what were they transporting back? You know, were they injured? Did they die? That kind of stuff. There's probably a lot of
items, all the items,
all the items.
brought
Yeah.
aboard,
Yeah.
brought aboard the ship from all over the world. Just
Yep.
all kinds of craziness. Just
Sure.
no wonder that ship has a lot of activity. You would think that something like that would have a lot of just spiritually kind of charged things going.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then in the case where it's talking to you about like people out there looking like they're on vacation, like wearing their swimsuits and stuff or whatever. I mean, people have been aboard that ship that have had like really strong emotional ties to the ship. Like maybe it was they got a chance to go on the ship, and it was more of a positive sort of thing too. So you could be seeing residual effects of stuff like that, you know, just like people
Sure.
like they're having a
I went looking there, right?
time out there, you know.
Because I done a show the other night with Bill Bean about Pazuzu, and you've got all these. It's argued what number of demons they are if you go back to Babylonian and Sumerian times. I had people saying there was 666. Some of them said 6,066. Other ones said there was 666 divisions or legions. It was crazy, right?
I heard 72. I heard it's 72.
Yeah, that's of the Goetia. The 70.
42, because that's what the supercomputer said on Hitchhiker's Guide.
Well, there you go then. 42 there, 72 in the book of the Goetia or something. But when you go to the actual various scholars, because there's no one can tell you, but it was 3 or 4 people we looked at, but it got into the millions at one point. It was like numbers that couldn't, because there's legions of them and they've got their own. Yeah. It's almost like an army, literally formed like an army. And Pazuzu, the prince. But I went looking there to see if there was maybe some demonic entity associated with the sea. But it appears they only called on the god EA. Now, of course, I play a lot of EA games nowadays. EA Sports, FIFA, all that. And again, there's some ancient knowledge and symbology, Scotty, like hidden in plain sight in front of millions, no, billions of children. Isn't it?
EA, right, is what it's called.
Yeah, EA. I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah, but EA, that's the name of it. And it is there. Others invoke the names of deities like water god EA, or fire gods Gibil or Jibil and Nusku. And of course, this was at the time.
And of course, they'll just tell you it stands for Electronic Arts, Kev.
Of course they will. Of course they will.
Yeah,
but we know that these magicians have dual meanings, Scott. You know, we know that. And isn't it funny how these bigger companies who do make it to the top, who do amass like the biggest fortune, usually, you know, some way, be it their symbol, be it somewhere in their name, there's something that people like us can always interpret as almost being a bit dark, a bit occult, right? You see it everywhere. The bigger the company, look at Starbucks. Whoa, you can't drink your coffee in Starbucks. Look at the logo. I love my Starbucks. I'm not going to stop drinking it for a logo. I can't help it, Joe. Should I be punished for that,
No,
Joe? Should I be kicked off
absolutely
the?
not.
Because it's
Absolutely not.
faux pas for somebody in the alternative media to admit that they even like that establishment.
That's right.
Let
That's
alone
right.
sitting, it's half the battle when you admit it, right enough. But yeah, there's a lot.
That's if you gave a shite about that, right, Googly
But do you think?
man?
Why do you keep calling me Googly man? Did? Holy heck, man! Are you like? No, I think we need to thrash this out on air. You see, you've been intimating this a couple of times. Why the Google man? No.
Why not? Absolutely.
If we're going to bring up companies and names and the reason why those names are chosen, and I mean, we could do an expose, but
We could, and would I ever stop you
could.
boys from doing anything
we could.
before I get accused of censoring you? Look,
No,
I'm thinking how this looks out there in the real world right now, and people are now thinking, I don't just gag Scott Lopez, I gag Joe as well. Holy heck, man.
EA Games, Kev. EA Games.
Holy heck, boys.
EA Games.
EA
Holy heck. Somebody want to take over this story for me, or shall I just keep going and dig yet more holes for myself along the way?
Go ahead.
You sure now? You sure we're all right? We've got 5 minutes for me to trigger somebody or do something. So where was I anyway? Yes. Let's see. With the swimming pool, we had the possibly male ghosts identified.
Knocking on the pipes
Yep.
and stuff.
It says
yeah.
both of the pools also supposedly harbor the spirits of several children. Now, this is where I get scared. There's something like, I don't know what it is with younger type spirits or entities. Or I don't know, Scott.
Yeah.
I really don't know.
Yeah, that's when the creep factor starts getting up there.
Yes, the creep factor. I'll get back to it. Give me. Yeah, I don't know. I think it might even be The Shining. I think The Shining might have done that to me. I don't know. Those little girls in The Shining movie. Not good. Not good. And I think it all kind of stems from that. Because why should you be scared of little children, Scott? I mean, they should be the friendliest little ghosts in the world, right? But there's something creepy about it.
But you got to think, just children in general already have a stronger connection to sort of being more open to the paranormal than, when you get older, right? You notice that kids are more open to that kind of stuff. And so there's already that kind of energy there or something. Then if like something traumatic happened, like a kid or something died on the boat, you would think that energy would be even stronger than say an adult's, I would think.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it even more like, woo, and so, and of course, kids don't really have control of their emotions as much as a adult at that time either, right? So there's a lot of emotional energy that would probably be imprinted as well. So
you see if there's any ghosts round about me right now. They've just got the inside scoop. Now we know what to go and haunt them as. We'll just appear as creepy little children. Oh my goodness. Ooga,
yeah.
booga.
Booga.
Yeah, so the most famous of these is a spirit called Jackie, which inhabits the second-class pool and is said to be a girl who drowned during the luxury liner's heyday. Jackie purportedly carries with her a teddy bear, often calls out for her mother, and will allegedly sometimes whistle or hum Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Oh,
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's just like that raw sort of imprint of
wrong, dude. That's wrong.
Yeah.
Eerily, she is also known to hum or whistle back songs that visitors sing. Now, and it says with some ghost hunters doing this in an effort to draw her out. Now, it's interesting it says that because most haunted in the UK are arguably our biggest kind of like paranormal show, Scott. And this is something they do a lot, and it's quite effective. But I can't figure out. I mean, listen, look, if we're looking at intelligent communication beyond the veil, the spiritual realm, Scott. I mean, whistling back, and it sounds like an echo, like 5 seconds later. Right, that's really cool. So what? do you know what I mean? No, I don't know, dude. It's just, I don't know if I buy into the whole whistling. I don't know about that. I don't know.
I think if you get like a direct response or something, then that does suggest like, some kind of an intelligent haunting.
But at that point, right? At that point, then I know, and I would never encourage the Ouija board, right? But surely you've got an intelligent thing there that's answered you. It's aware of you. And then what they do is, right, we'll move to the top stairs bedroom now. We'll go and move up there. What are you doing? You're a ghost ready to talk to you. It's whistling at you. We'll be back after the break and I'll get triggered by ghosts again, right? Don't go anywhere. It's one of those nights. We'll be right back. Oh, that really grips me, though. That really grips me, people. It really does. Just when they're getting there, Scott. Just when things are happening. Right. Meanwhile, down in the basement, we're going to go and... What are you doing? You tell me you've come looking for ghosts? I tell you what, when there's something out of thin air whistling back at you, I think you might just have found that ghost. So don't you bloody dare go to some other room right now. It's crazy, dude. The ghosts must be thinking, what's the point? This lot are stupid. We whistle back, we bang floors, we put lights on and off, and all they want to do is just go and post it on social media. Dopamine junkies. And on that note, I definitely want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Yep, I'm Kev Baker, this is Scotty Lopez, and it's a strange, freaky Friday.
Really feel, Kev.
Yeah, I know I shouldn't really hold back. I should really just like lay it all out there and be honest and get passionate about it. But you know me, Scott, I'm quite shy. I just kind of bottle it all up, you know?
Well, we all know that he just...
Polynation thinks he's a ghost.
Himself to the computer every morning.
Holy heck. Polynation thinks he's a ghost. He might be identifying... Do you identify with dead people? What? Oh, instead of I hear dead people, I identify as a dead person.
I'm transmortal.
Transmortal. Oh, dear me.
I'm transmortal.
I'm not dead, man. I'm a dead man.
Don't assume that I'm alive. Don't assume that I'm dead. I'm...
Oh, wow, man. Oh, transdimensional, transcripted Mothman.
Transcripted.
Why not? Exactly. It's a ghost in the machine. That was a really, really weird ghost in that machine, I'm telling you. Who knows? But yeah, we've got more. And I tell you what, I didn't think we would spend an hour. An hour, Scott, and we're not even through this yet. The ships, they are
Good.
the woo that just like to giveth, my friend. And folks, we're going to keep it on a kind of marine, kind of haunted theme after the ships, because then we're going to move into the weird and wonderful world of aquatic humanoids, reptilians, and things like that. And I bet you there's going to be talk of mermaids, or as they have in an advert over here in the UK now, a merman. Yes, one of our TV advertisements has a merman. Because of course they do. Remember the boxes they need to tick if they want to win one of those TV awards for the best commercial of the year? Well, you better use that 30 seconds to virtue signal and get as many of those boxes ticked as you can. And the merman, I think, is going to be next year's #1 advert.
It's merman.
Merman. Joe's half shifted into a merman already. That's why he had to go off camera. He's a shapeshifter. If he's going to out me as some kind of handler or shill, I'm going to call him a shapeshifter, and he's not here to defend himself. And Scott, we're going back live to the network. So,
excellent.
Yes, get the Wookiee ready, folks. 1 hour down, 2 to go, and don't forget, Scotty, he will be jumping on over to the paranormal portal right after Freaky Friday, and he'll be joining our good friend Brent Thomas. Here we go. One hour down, 2 to go. Welcome back, everyone. Yes, a Freaky Friday. I know. I have composed myself during the break. I got triggered because of a ghost show before the break. What's that all about, Scott? Do you know what I think it was? I think today, when I was doing like an hour and a half of the very woke Christmas, I had to listen to some of the most outrageous things. I had to present in my calmest manner the most despicable, ridiculous, non-believable things, although very true. And I'd done it without getting triggered along the way. So I think that trigger was waiting somewhere. It was just brewing. It was festering. And then all because ghost hunters decide to like do a proper investigation and don't hang about because of a random whistle, I lose it. What's that all about, man?
I think all of this woke culture is starting to break, Kev.
It really it hurts, man.
I think he's reaching his breaking point.
It hurts, dude. I honestly couldn't. That's what I was saying to the audience today. I was saying I had enough material that I could have done like hours, Scott. In fact, you could do a week of shows. And then with the rest of the material that was, it was all right. It would have been good filler if there hadn't been much else. You could have done a month with all of that. And I had to look through all this today. And the hardest part was trying to figure out which parts to put in and which parts to leave out. Because all equally ridiculous. And it just, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. And the only thing that kept me really going was the fact I know Freaky Friday's here. The woo. We get our freak on. And it got me through it. And then I go and freak out on Freaky Friday.
Hey, Kev. It happens. It happens.
Happens to the best of them. And it happens to me as well. See, there you go. So we'll get back in to Not Mothman. We will get back in to the sailors. Yes, indeed. So we had this really kind of creepy ghost of a young child called Jackie. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. You know the one.
I'm out of there.
So eerily, she is also known to hum or whistle back songs that visitors sing. With some ghost hunters, I better not read that bit again. That's where it all went wrong the last time. So a companion of Jackie's is the ghost of a girl called Sarah, who is known as being rather mischievous and prone to acting up, sometimes tugging at clothing, tapping, pushing, or even slapping guests. Now, even spookier still is the ghost said to prowl the pool area that leaves behind the smell of cigarettes and is known for growling ominously, leading to the spirit's nickname, Grumpy. Okay, now Grumpy, for me, Scott, makes it sound like some residual, some grumpy caretaker or something that's just plodding about. But something that's ominously growling, I don't think I would necessarily say, he sounded a bit like a grumpy to me. Hey.
He's just a bit grumpy. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't hate on the ghost. He's just having a bad day. Don't hate on him.
He's just a little bit grumpy.
Don't mood shame him, Joe.
Mood shame, is that right? Yeah.
I don't know. I just made that up, but I bet it'll become a thing.
You're getting really good at this, at being woke. I mean, you are as woke as they come, dude.
Oh, dude, don't start me, man.
Oh, man, that is awesome. Mood shaming.
You've got
I can't wait. I can't. I'm going to bring that. I'm going to use that at work.
You see, the thing is, Joe, I've almost had to like surround myself by that ridiculousness and insanity to get to know it, to get to feel it, to get to appreciate just how bad it is. And the things I've learned, the more I've dived into that kind of what they call it, the culture wars or looking at the outrage brigade. And I tell you what, it's fascinating. Scott knows what I'm talking about. But I've learned so many new terms that in reality, they were never a term before because they still don't mean anything now. There's people that get offended by things that I actually have to read 2 or 3 times to figure out just what part has offended them. Like today, I played a song. I couldn't figure out if the person was doing a parody of Woke Christmas or it was like actually she was encouraging like a Christmas song.
For real, for real?
Yeah, like bowing and paying homage to the Kaepernick.
Did she happen to spend a lot of money on a piece of artwork
Oh,
in the
Joe.
Miami area?
Oh, Joe, please tell me you've got that story. Yeah, have you
Here.
got it to hand? Have you got it to hand, though? I think I've still got it here. I think I
I
pulled
got
it
it
up.
right here.
Yeah, are you going to do the honors? Because I need to take a drink of coffee.
Yeah. Because, folks, I got to tell you, it's these woke individuals that really are bringing about the destruction of humanity. There's no doubt in my mind. As you'll see here, a banana duct taped to a wall by Maurizio Catalan sold for $120,000 in Miami at Art Basel.
Only in
Yeah.
Florida, Scott. Only in Florida. Florida
So-
man and Florida woman. That's a different breed.
Can you play that so people can see the?
Well, I don't
Actual-
know if people will hear it. I'll keep an eye on the chat room because I had to change
Okay.
my settings.
No.
Just
Just
give
play
it to.
it and scroll it ahead and pause it so people can see what it is that someone paid $120,000 for. There it is. There it is, folks.
Hang on. Where is it?
Oh, you passed it. There it is.
Right. I'm going to send a picture to the people at the chat room so they can see this. Hopefully,
I
I'll
can't
pin our
believe
picture
it's
down here.
literally a banana duct tape on the wall. And folks, it has a name. It's called The Comedian. And it's entertaining art lovers from around the globe. It says some of these art lovers' conversation swirled around his 2017 golden toilet. The $6 million throne was stolen from England's Blenheim Palace over the summer. And art lover Wheezy Chandler. There you go. That is a woke name. If I've ever heard
I was
one.
going to say, I bet you she spent the first 5 years of her life identified as a baby.
You can do anything, and once you're established, you can get away with it. No, you shouldn't be able to get away with selling a banana duct taped to a wall for $120,000.
You shouldn't be able to get away with calling yourself Wheezy either. That's like a medical condition. It's not a name.
The brain said that's why the guy called it The Comedian, because he's laughing his ass off all the way to the bank.
Do you remember Banksy as well when he done the painting and everyone
Yes.
went to turn up it and it like self-destructed and shredded itself in front of people? I mean,
That one art lover said it's mocking the art world. That's what Maurizio Catalan does. He's openly mocking all these asshats that are going into this studio, this art gallery, openly mocking them, and then somebody pays him $120,000 for making fun of them.
dude, wasn't it over here in the UK you had like the Modern Art Award for the year, the Tate Art or whatever it was? It was like a pile of rubbish. It was like a bin bag that had been poured out. And that was like art. And you've got all these people, dead interest and all this. Very,
You know, Ange made a good point here,
What
and I
the
think
heck?
that this needs to be said, right? Because this kind of falls in line with, say, people that miterate on themselves or each other. It's how do you say it? It's sadistic and totally unbelievable. And why the hell would people shit and piss on themselves, right? Okay, but they do, and the same reason why somebody would go ahead and buy a $120,000 banana duct taped to a wall. Just saying.
And,
That guy probably goes home and shits on his wife.
and Joe, I'll say to you what Scott said to me. Why don't you just like let it all out? Why don't you just be honest? Don't hold back.
I'm just saying.
Who knew you felt so passionately about water sports and kinky bedroom games that shouldn't be participated in?
I had no idea that you would trigger me like this.
It was a story that you sent me.
He triggered himself.
How the hell? That's how good I am, folks. Joe finds the story. Hey, Joe reads it out, and I trigger him somehow. I don't know how that rolls, man.
This
Unbelievable.
is ridiculous. This is like you've seen examples to where like somebody threw a piece of trash in the corner of like an art museum,
Mhm.
and like people actually started going and standing around it thinking it was like one of the art exhibits, and the guy's like, no, that's just I threw my napkin down there. That's not a piece of artwork. You know, it's like we've gotten to this ridiculous level where it's part of the whole postmodern like tearing down of
It's the
basic.
bringing down of civilization, Scott.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the
The tearing
deliberate
down.
destruction of everything. At which point,
Yeah,
everyone will be so desperate for any normality.
Tickle me Elmo, tickle me Scotty.
Thank you. And yeah, like Gerald Salenti said last night, you know, when people have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And this is really,
Yeah.
I mean, Jonesy's been talking about this. David Icke, he was on Alex Jones for 2 hours the other day, and he was talking about it. But they're literally writing about, see how we look back at the documents and it talks about the New World Order and the Illuminati. But now in their writings, they're literally talking about a post-human world.
yep.
Now, you don't need a doctorate to work out what that means. It's not like some weird thing that it means what it says on the tin, a post-human world. So everything that's brought us to this point where we are now, this is why things are getting crazy, because it's getting ripped up. It's getting torn down. And to the point where we'll get to, or this is the plan, where people will beg for any kind of new norm. Any new norm at all. And it'll probably collapse that bad. The local governments, they're not going to be able to afford to, keep cities running, police departments. People are going to be going home looking after their families, jobs, no money. And then what happens then? Well, we can't afford to bring all the police back when we start to get that bit of civilization, a bit of structure back into it. But what we do have, we've got cracking new robots that we can roll out, and we can afford them. Oh, and it'll keep the streets safe because you're all getting mugged and everyone's getting robbed right now, right? And like I said, you'll be ready to accept anything. Oh, please roll them out. I need food as well, though. Well, the only way you're getting food at this point is if you take a chip. But I'm not taking a chip. Well, you go back, starve, one or the other. And like I say, you're at the point where you've nothing else to lose. You've got kids crying about you. It puts that taking the chip, that kind of puts you in a moral dilemma there, doesn't it? But that's how they can do it, Scott.
Yes.
You tear it all down. Salenti's got into me, man. He's got into me. Those white shoe boys, Scott. I'm telling you, man. It's all a game. They're all psychopaths and lunatics, man.
Good old Celine.
If you look at where mass surveillance is, if you look at where the economies are as far as their reliance on electronic transactions, let me tell you this, Kev, right? So one of the things I'm doing at work is I'm trying to go green, if you will. I am all about saving energy, especially when you're talking about a big manufacturing plant. You want to save as much energy as you possibly can because you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on utilities every month. So I brought in the power company, and there are like grants that the power company gives to modernize your, like, say, lighting in this case. Now, the lights that are available now, and this is the stunning thing. The lights that are available now are all controlled by your smartphone. So, like, if I put these lamps in the plant, they're Wi-Fi capable, they're Bluetooth, they all connect to each other. They basically make an ad hoc network. They all discover each other and everything else, and you can control them with your smartphone. But it has software built into it where it can track any cell phone in the plant down to 3 feet with the Wi-Fi, and then up to 10 inches of accuracy with the Bluetooth. And the way the salesman described it to me was, Target is a big customer of this particular brand or style of lighting that's going in all the Targets. And let's just say that you're in the toothpaste aisle and you're standing in front of the Crest. Well, Colgate can be monitoring the aisle, and because it can identify you within 10 inches, it knows you're standing in front of the Crest, so it shoots a coupon to your smartphone for Colgate to get you to move down. And it does all that in real time.
Wow, how clever.
And that's just one feature of many that these lights do. The lights. You know how we were talking about how they listen? It also uses your camera. It uses your camera to get your accuracy better.
And you got to remember, well, this is stuff we've been talking about for quite a few years now, because you used to be called crazy if you said that the lights were monitoring you. How's a light bulb gonna monitor you? Hey, crazy.
Oh, dude, they can do.
You're like, hey, man.
It's crazy, but it's true, and it's all built in. It's all built into these light fixtures.
And now it's all rolled out. Where at once used to be called a conspiracy theorist for even mentioning it. Now it's being marketed, and everybody actually wants it. You know, they're like, yeah, I want that internet connectivity through my.
Yeah, Lithonia is the manufacturer, the light manufacturer that makes this particular LED light fixture. And that's absolutely, it has made its way down now to the, commercial or private sector, and everybody's embracing it. And then, okay, so let's just say I install it in the plant. Well, not only do I benefit from it, right? Because as a leader, now I can go and say, well, first of all, in the plant, the people can't carry their phones around the plant. So it's kind of a moot point for us. But I can say that now all these places are kind of putting these in. Well, you don't think the government has back doors and all this kind of stuff? Well, of course they do. So now you have this huge, super large surveillance grid, all sold to you by the culture of convenience. Right, Scott?
Yep. Yeah, because you have to network these lights in through an internet connected source.
Absolutely,
and so, yep. That right there, as soon as you connect something to the net, you're pretty much back. That back door has been established, because as soon as you connect to the World Wide Web, you're immediately you're being tracked at some level. There's no way you're not going to be tracked connecting to the net, at some level. So,
and I was watching Ike Scott again. He was on Talk Sport. And that's one of the bigger mainstream kind of radio shows, but they do a simulcast, the video cast as well. And Eamon Holmes, somebody who I absolutely, utterly detested when he was in the mainstream doing morning TV and worked for the BBC. And he's sitting there, and I actually have kind of changed my opinion on him, because he was very open-minded and very kind of respectful of David Icke when he was on there. And he was actually, at times, defending some of the things that Icke was saying to his co-host. And the co-host was the perfect example of what we're talking about here. Because Eamon Holmes was talking about how him and his friend, they'd been talking about David Icke, his brother's friend or something, had been to one of his shows, and on his way home, he got home, and the first thing he noticed when he started scrolling through his phone was adverts for David Icke's book. And he says, I mean, come on, this is the kind of thing that you speak about, David, isn't it? And he sits and he goes into it all like you guys just did there. And the woman that's the co-presenter, she's sitting there with an actual scowl on the face, looking at them, and she goes, "But what's wrong with that? I mean, I often take advantage of these things. I don't mind if I'm talking to somebody and then say Amazon or one of these companies, then they take that and they give me an ad for something they know I was looking for. Or what about if you're looking for a holiday? I've often booked a holiday on the back of ads that have come up when I've talked about them." And Ike's looking at her going, "Are you for real? You're happy with that?" "Yeah, I mean, that saves time, David. There's nothing to worry about. It's not like everyone's listening." And he's like, "You do realise they must be listening to everything, right? You're not worried about that at all?" Like, And she just didn't get it. Couldn't get it, guys. Did not get it. Didn't register. And this is an intelligent woman, Scott. She's obviously been, done broadcasting school and well-read, well-educated. Couldn't compute.
Yeah, that's how bad they've conditioned some people to believe that that's okay. They don't actually see the issue in it. Yep. It's like the people that go, well, I have nothing to hide, so what's the big deal, right? It's like, well, no, that is a big deal, and so it's just through all of this convenient stuff, so, it helps me get my shopping done quicker. It helps me save money. It helps me do this. It helps me do that, and that's how they sell it. That's how they sell it. And we've gotten to a point to where just people buy into it now.
Well, how long then until we end up in the Hannibal Lecter chair for talking this way online?
I mean, look, we just recently, FBI puts out a warning. Your smart TV could be hacked by hackers and all of that stuff. Well, hasn't that discussion been talked about for quite a while by people like us?
And don't stop
guy in Texas was warning about that.
And don't stop at the TV, Scott. I mean, you know computers and networks better than me. It's not just your TV that they can get in through. It's anything that's smart.
Anything that connects to the internet can be backdoored and used to surveil you. That's pretty much it. If you connect to a cell phone data site, hotspot, you're connected to the internet. You can be tracked. You connect through someone's Wi-Fi. You're anytime you connect to the internet, you're being tracked. So, and what defines a smart device? Basically, anything that has some kind of internet connectivity that can be used to speed something up, or make it more functional. I mean, toys are considered smart devices. Look how many toys are sold now to kids that, download the companion app for the toy so you can control the toy through your cell phone or interact with it. Well, what do you think they're doing? They're connecting that toy to the internet. They're giving it an access point through the cell phone, and so anything can be tracked at that level. Then you look at all the shady stuff about the baby Sophias.
Scott, you stole the thought out of my mind. Yeah. And for people out there, if you don't know what we're talking about there, go and check out Charlie Robinson, a show I done with them. And it's about, Mr. Christmas lights don't hang themselves. You know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah, Easy Epstein. Easy does it with the lies around that one, more like. But yeah, he was absolutely fascinated to the point of having a sit-down meeting with Ben Gertzel, the guy that retweeted our Sophia show, The Mark of the Beast 666, only the scientist who had the idea to create it in the first place. Well, that evil person who is thankfully no longer with us anymore, but being treated like a fall guy for something that's still going on today, but we won't go in there. He sat down with Ben Gertzel and he was desperate. I don't know if he gave him a couple of million, but I think Gertzel ended up refusing it. But the point was, these elites, and one as creepy as that in particular, was desperate to put a little doll, an electronic, AI-driven doll with cameras and microphones, into the bedroom of every little child. I think the quote was that Charlie had. They wanted every little child to have one of these in their bedroom so that they could tell the doll their secrets. A man that recorded everything that went on in his homes. We know how that story goes. There's nothing too sinister about that. So, not that I could tell people what to buy for Christmas, Scott, but that might be one toy I might kind of avoid. Anything with like AI or smart dolls, smart action man, G.I. Joe over there. Not so smart.
I just suggest if you get the toy, don't utilize the companion app that comes with it. You can still play with the toy and it'll function.
No, it's like a woke Christmas. You can't be happy on Christmas. You should shred all toys. You should have a shredder by the door so you can shred any toys, any presents that family bring round as well, Scott. Come on.
Yes. And no, but I mean, at some level, it's also going to be hard to make some of these financial decisions. Like when you're picking up a toy for a child or something like that, it's going to be harder and harder to find these toys that don't have some kind of internet connectivity at some level, right? And that's how they want it too, because then it's like, what option do you have? Your kid wants the toy, you want your child to be happy, you want to get them something to play with, but at some level it still has this connectivity, base level connectivity to make it function.
What's it like over there? Do your kids over in those schools get given smart devices, tablets to take home? Yeah, same here.
Absolutely. Yeah, most of them do. Laptops,
that's
tablets.
how they do it now.
Yeah.
A lot of school districts are caught spying on kids at home, and they're often brought to court. It's crazy.
Well, we'll get back in the woo in part 2. That's half of Freaky Friday down, another half to go, and then Brent Thomas, he takes you through the paranormal portal with Scotty Lopez. Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Indeed, boys, it's going fast, I must admit. Now, I will leave you guys to entertain our wonderful audience of 240 souls here at the moment. Yes, I'm going to go and retire to the toilet before I make puddly, messy time. You know what it's like? You forget when you're on air, so I'm going to go to the toilet. Yes.
Yes.
Will I leave you with some of my porn music on? I know how Joe loves it. You sure you don't want any of my music on, Joe? You sure?
No.
I think we'll be okay with that.
So yeah, it's crazy. We're just, I don't know, man.
I got me an article here if you want to go through it real quick, and it's from the Metro.
Cool.
And this is a special between the break Christmas asteroid edition.
Oh, nice.
Yes, because according to the very, very reputable Metro, 2 gigantic Christmas asteroids are heading for Earth. So maybe all this time they've been kind of keeping it on the DL. And maybe their little secret space shuttle mission failed. And maybe we're all going to die. Let's find out. Says here, Christmas is a time for giving, sharing, and stuffing your face like there's no tomorrow. But it's definitely not the time to be earnestly considering our planet's chilling vulnerability to doomsday space rocks. Sadly, we're afraid 2 gigantic Christmas asteroids are heading our way to remind us that it's more or less inevitable that humanity will have to deal with a devastating impact one day. That's right. On December 20th, we are due for a close encounter with a beast called 216-258-2006 WH1. This behemoth is believed to be up to 600 meters wide, big enough to wipe out a city. It'll come within a distance of 3.7 million miles of our planet, which sounds like a huge distance, but tiny in cosmic relations. The second is 310442-2000 CH59. It's similar in size, and it'll also zoom past Earth at a comparable distance. Both rocks will hurtle past us and leave us all to enjoy the turkey rather than smashing into Earth, killing millions and forcing many more into a brutal fight for survival in a post-cataclysmic hell world, which is the best Prezi anyone can hope for. Because a scary new study recently revealed that asteroids big enough to wipe out millions of people hit Earth more frequently than previously believed. Ooga booga.
Seriously?
Ooh.
Remember that?
Seriously.
Remember that mystery event in Russia that took out like a gigantic swath of forest?
Oh yeah, that's right.
That?
Oh yeah. The Chelyabinsk or something.
Something like that.
Isn't that what it was?
The one back in the day was the Tunguska event.
Yeah, that's right. The Tunguska.
That's where they wondered.
Yeah. Now imagine if that hit a populated area. What would that have done?
Exactly.
right? And so, thank goodness that the Earth is 75% water, and even then,
Lucky the Tunguska event didn't
it was
happen
all
over
tundra.
populated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Here we
that
go,
was,
guys. Here we go.
Yes.
Bring us back, Joe.
So here we are yet again, halfway through Freaky Friday, and just loving the woo. And we're talking between the breaks about asteroids and how 2 Christmas asteroids are coming within 3.7 million miles of Earth, 600 meters in length, and big enough to wipe out a city. Kind of gives you an idea of where we are in the great cosmos. Says here, a scary new study recently revealed that asteroids big enough to wipe out the Earth happen more often than not. Scientists analyzed Wolf Creek Crater, which is believed to be the second largest impact crater on the Earth, and found that the cosmic collision took place more recently than expected. It says, but before we go on to tell you about how nervous you should be, it's worth a quick reminder of some of the different types of space objects. An asteroid is made of rock or metal, while a comet's made of ice and glass. Ice and gas, pardon me. They become meteors when they hit our planet and the objects fall to Earth without burning up. They're called meteorites. And Wolf Creek Crater was formed when a 15-meter wide meteorite weighing around 14,000 tons smashed into the ground at 17 kilometers a second. It exploded with a force of 0.54 megatons of TNT, which is roughly the equivalent to 36 of the nuclear bombs dropped on Hiroshima during World War II. Research by an international team led by Professor Tim Burrows from the University of Wollongong had found that the object probably hit us 120,000 years ago, much more recent than the previously estimated 300,000 years ago. This finding prompted Burrows to increase the estimate of how often we're hit by similar-sized objects. He claims a similar impact could occur roughly once every 2 centuries. And although the rate is only one large meteor hits Australia every 17,000 years, it isn't quite that simple, he said. The craters are only found in the arid parts of Australia. Elsewhere, craters are destroyed by geomorphic activity like river migration or slope processes in the mountains. And since Australia has an excellent preservation record with dated craters within the arid zone, we can extrapolate a rate for the whole Earth. And so taking into account that arid Australia is only about 1% of the surface, the rate increases to 1 every 180 years or so. This is a minimum estimate because some smaller impacts were probably covered by sand during the Ice Age. The number of large objects is probably 20 times this number because stony meteorites are far more common, but not as many survive the fiery journey through the atmosphere or effectively make craters. Our results give us a better idea of how frequent these events are. Now, Professor Barrow and his colleagues used 2 techniques to date the crater: exposure dating, which estimates the length of time rock on Earth's surface has been exposed to cosmic radiation, and optically stimulated luminescence, which measures how long ago the sediment was last exposed to sunlight. They also create a new 3D model of the crater using aerial photographs and use this to calculate the crater's dimensions. So they calculated that the maximum width of the crater is 946 meters in a northeast-southwest direction, reflecting the direction of the impact. The average diameter is 892 meters. Then they predict a depth of 178 meters, and that's filled by about 120 meters of sediment, mostly sand blown in from the desert. So if a city had been standing on the site where the meteorite hit, it would have been utterly destroyed. Unfortunately, it's a matter of time before we're hit by an asteroid. And the European Space Agency recently found a space rock that could be on a collision course with Earth. That would be this object called 2019 SU3. And it has now been added to the dossier of doom.
And my asteroid card that I've been playing lately is definitely picking up momentum, boys. I'm telling you.
Yeah, totally, man. Now listen, though, because we've got time, you see. We got time. The asteroid is 14 meters wide and has a 1 in 385 chance of plowing into our planet on September 16th, 2084. I would be 109 years old then. I doubt I'm going to be here. So I don't really give a rat's ass if it plows into
Come
the
on,
Earth.
Joe. Joe, come on. We don't need to lie anymore. Me, you, Ange, Scott, we've all signed the deal with Geordie and Elon. We're all going to be uploaded. We're fine. That's why we laugh in the face of the apocalypse. We'll be growing younger in the virtual world in 2084, Joe. Oh, he's just not even speaking to me now. He's just not even going there.
Oh, man.
I've offended him
She said,
so.
could you imagine if one of those things landed in a cemetery and just like blew bodies everywhere?
That's a heck of a Now, I'd usually expect that from you, Joe.
That was a me. That was a me comment. I can't believe that came out.
No, I think, I think that came from elsewhere in the room. It's almost.
Made me think about that.
Can you hear that,
Okay.
Scott? Scott, can you hear? It's like we can hear a ghost. Is there a ghost on the show?
That's a little morbid. No, it's the brain's going morbid tonight.
But I mean, look, if you had an area that was already had a lot of woo going on, a little bit of spiritual activity, and then it gets another traumatic event occurring at it once again, meteor hit.
The asteroid card.
Good area to be in.
That's right, the asteroid card. Even though we've got time, but it brings up a good point, Kev. You said about uploading. We'd be uploaded by then. Well, I'm going to give you this because this falls in perfectly. I don't think we will. I think they're just going to, oh, that's not the right one. I don't want to do that. I want to give you, where did it go? Ah, right here. This one here that says, this geneticist guy, right? He says within 20 years, they're going to be able to reverse the aging process. So why on earth would we want to possibly go and download ourselves when we can just dial it back whenever we need to? That's right. The geneticist who helped map the human genome, the first step in the quest to manipulate what is essentially the software of human life, says reversing the aging process and humans may be less than 20 years away. George Church.
Oh, tell you what, man. He's a crazy dude.
That's right.
Crazy,
Church and others
dude.
who worked decoded DNA called the building block of life.
Jinky's Jimmy Church's dad.
Dude, I tell you what.
Be a good rumor at the start, though, right?
I would be an excellent rumor.
Because if any man can actually fulfill the prophecy of the blue chickens, you would need a geneticist, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Absolutely. So this is CBS News. It says here, age reversal is something that's been proven about 8 different ways on animals, says Church. He tells Paley, I guess that's the guy interviewing him, that in mice, tissue damage has been repaired, reaction time sped up, and cognition improved. He says, knowing that specific functions of genes in a creature's DNA allows scientists to edit or add genes to the sequence and change outcomes. A paper just published by Church and several other scientists show how added multiple genes in mice improved heart and kidney function and levels of blood sugar. The gene function is going down with age, and so we're boosting it back up by putting in extra copies of the genes, he said. The next step towards replicating this science in humans is to achieve the same results in a clinical trial using dogs that he's now conducting now. The process should be perfected in humans in less than 20 years, said Church. That veterinary product might be a couple of years away. And then that takes another 10 years to get it through human clinical trials.
I mean, would you let that guy, and I'm going to post the picture into the chat room over at TFR, but would you honestly let George Church, a man that looks like he's been convicted of doing really bad things to really young people, he's like got that stereotypical look about him, would you let him mess about with your DNA? Honestly.
A little bit of a twisted mad scientist kind of vibe going on.
Twisted mad scientist.
Lots and lots and lots and lots of DARPA money.
Oh, yeah.
lots of endowment money.
Because you would have to give all that money to someone like that who was willing to go
That's
all
what
the way.
I'm saying. And that this guy is batshit crazy enough to go all the way. And he's
He
gonna
looks at. Yeah.
So you get, think about it. The Epsteins, the Peter Thiels, all of these people with billions of dollars pouring it into these people, through endowments. If you think about what happened at the turn of the century, of the 20th century, and even up to present day with the school systems, it was the endowments that started the modern day school systems that have been deployed around the world to really bring about a dumbing down, fill the mind with useless crap, and then control people because they're not prepared to life, and then or they're not prepared for life, and then we inject all this crap in there to keep people controllable out of chaos order. We could have,
and they got all of that. They got all of that way of running the education system from the Prussians, right? Because they had like a 3-tier education setup, where the low class working, basically peasant class, they would have their tier of education that sort of molded them to live out their life the way that they, have planned for them. Then he had kind of like this mid-tier education system for maybe some of the more affluent socialite kind of children. And then you had like this third tier of education.
That's the oligarchs.
For the elites and their kids, and they were being prepared to basically take over once, they're groomed to take over once their father or, whatever. And so that's how it was. And they took that sort of structure of the education system, tweaked it a little bit, and then they installed it here in the United States, right? So you go to public school, you're trained like a Pavlov's dog to react to the bell ringing. Basically, that's your work break. You get your lunchtime. They're mapping out an 8 to 10 hour workday, and they're acclimating kids to it. React, move. It's time to go to the classroom, which would be wherever your work would be, eventually. And you get out when the bell rings. You got to get along with others because you have to work together. You have to include everybody because we're all working together to help bring about whatever they have planned for us to bring about. And then what? You see the elites, their children, they get they go to the different colleges, those top tier colleges that only certain individuals get into, right? With certain family backgrounds. They go to they're not going to public schools, are they? No, you don't see them really in public school.
No, they won't do that. Are you kidding?
You don't see
Why?
these people with social media. You don't see them on smart devices. It's almost as if they know something that we don't. The kind of thing that we get called conspiracy theorists for, Yeah.
We talk about breakaway civilization. That doesn't have to necessarily be limited to, they're off in outer space somewhere on a, no, they literally are a breakaway civilization, as in they don't, the way they have society set up, they don't adhere to that themselves because they know for a reason, they know the real reason why they've engineered society and steered the general population in that direction. And of course, they're not going to have their children part of that. No. Their children are there to help reinforce that because, they need to be taught how that game was played as well. They need to be groomed to take over once, it's like once old Grandpa Rockefeller fall, goes away. Well, David has to step in. And then when David goes away, his protege has to step in, That's why they care about bloodlines so much. we talk about the Royals and all of that, and
That's why this Christmas they'll be playing that game for all the family. Oh, I can't remember.
Yes.
It
They play
rhymes.
by a
Yeah.
completely different set of rules.
They play a game that rhymes
and-
with incense. Yeah, you know that incense and all that Christmassy stuff. Yeah, they play a game for all the family that rhymes with that. But moving on, where are we going now, Joe? Where did you take us to? Any more on George Church, the scary geneticist? Or I mean, I don't know if you'd finished that or not. Joe's caught now. He forgot he was even doing it. Look.
Church's lab at Harvard is working on about 100 cutting-edge projects. They're currently experimenting with growing mini organs from patients' own cells to help test the effectiveness of medicine.
Are they doing
they're
lungs,
also
Joe? Are they doing lungs? Any word on them doing lungs? Because
I don't know.
you know
I'm
what,
sure-
Joe?
Come on.
You know
Ken.
what, Joe? You know what, Joe? I've been having a bit of a think about this. It's a bit like Geordie Rose. I think I've given George Church a bit of a hard time. Big shout out to George Church and all the scientists over at that laboratory there. Hope you're really successful, especially when it comes to lungs and things like that. You want to sponsor the show, George? I'm here, man.
I'm your guy. So there's another project, and they're also aiming to turn these organoids, they call them,
Nice.
as they are called.
Organoids.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow,
organoids
that's
into
very-
organs available for transplant. So very possible, Kev. Church
It
and his
almost
team
sounds
also-
like they're. It almost sounds like they're working with some nefarious alien group. They're like, yes, we have the organoids.
We
ready to
have
go."
the organoids available for you. Church and his team also want to program human DNA to prevent people from hosting viruses, which could offer the cure for the common cold. Church's lab also received much attention for its project to create a modern version of the extinct woolly mammoth, a process known as de-extinction. Church acknowledges the controversial nature of such experimenting, but says it's already being done. He understands the world may not be ready for some of the implications of this technology. Says the more powerful or the more rapidly moving the technology, the more cautious we need to be, but we're not. The bigger the conversation involving lots of different disciplines, religions, ethics, government, art, to see what its unintended consequences might be. So, he basically said, nope, we're already doing it. Ha ha. Sorry, Charlie. Too bad, so sad. Gotta move on.
Almost-
It's kind of like CERN, right? This is a very similar technology to CERN as far as the adverse effects to humanity on a mass scale, possibly.
And,
Right.
and at the same time, life-changing
Very much
breakthroughs
so.
as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly
Yeah.
right. But on both fronts. On
Yeah.
both fronts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same as stem cell research. A lot of people get really kind of up in arms about that as well. But maybe if
Right.
you were somebody who had an ailment or a disease or something where stem cell research would benefit you, maybe you would have a different way of looking at it then. And I think it's good science. And again, I get it. There's that dark side to everything. But it's the same as the conversation that's taking place a lot now. And I had Bill Bean on the other night. And Bill Bean is one of my closest contacts and friends I've made on my time doing all this. And he'd only just found out about the neural link, Joe. And you know how I'm Musk's biggest fanboy in the world. Always. But it doesn't mean I'm naive. It doesn't mean I'm like sticking my fingers in my ears and closing my eyes to the dangers of a technology like Neuralink. But I was listening to Bill talking about it. And he, along with many others, are convinced that this truly could be the mark of the beast and the end of humanity as we know it. But I accept that. I do. But I look at it slightly different. And again, maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm just slightly biased. But yes, the marketing that they could end like neurological disorders and, bring back mobility to people. Obviously, they market that way. But at the same time, we need to think back and put this into the context of everything we've seen with Musk. And I always go back to when he first talked about the AI. And I tell you what, if you were to close your eyes and you were to just get Brian to read out a transcript from Elon Musk and Brian to read out a transcript from somebody like Bill Bean, you know, actually, you'd be kind of struggling to figure out which one said what part. Because if you listen to Musk, he's somebody that's in there. You know, he's moving with the biggest people in tech. He must have, in my opinion, at some point had a look at one of the most cutting-edge AIs out there. Because that first time, Scotty, the first time when he started talking about it being akin to the demon and everything else, I know he's very deliberate in the way he thinks about things, but it was almost as if he was recalling and thinking about what he'd already seen with the AI they've got, and he was projecting forward. And I honestly do think, as much as people hate me saying it, but I honestly think he's seen it as the genie's out the bottle. You can't put this thing away now. Once it's here, it's here. And it's inevitably going to get better and better and better. And I get it. I get kind of his thinking, his logic. If we somehow stay in lockstep with it, and I know the neural link, this brain chip, people are never going to go for that. They're never going to accept it. But I can see the logic behind why he thinks that might be the way we have to go. Does that make sense?
He's thinking that, you know, maybe this will give us a shot. At least.
Because what he's seen terrifies him as much as what Bill Bean would be terrified if he's seen it. And again, he equated it to demons. Now, I know Elon Musk, he's not religious in any way, but he said it was akin to the demons. And that's why sometimes I think, you know, especially when it comes to the neural link, I get the science behind it is very dystopian and can lead us to that kind of end of free thought and everything else, Scott. But does that mean we have to ban the science altogether and stop people who could take advantage of it, i.e. people with diseases or illnesses?
Well, exactly. You know, that's what we talk about.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, yeah. No, I know exactly what you're saying. And the thing is that this technology is coming. There's no way you're going to stop it. You might as well utilize it in the best way you possibly can, you know? And I think if Musk does something like where the neural link technology is like open source, to where people could customize the neural link thing to their own.
Oh, dang, dude. That's X-Men.
Yeah, and like open source it to where they know what is loaded on it and what kind of, you know, things they, you know, the way they want to utilize it, they can utilize it in a way they want. And there's like no backdoors or weird proprietary software or something being utilized in it that nobody can review, right? Because then if you don't know what is connected to you, you know, you have no way of like verifying it. You know, and usually that's with like proprietary code. Like you can't just go through all of your system files on Windows and open it up and look at the code. It's locked down. You know, that's Microsoft's proprietary code. You can't reverse engineer that. And so when they lock code like that, then that's because then you just don't know what you're running. So yeah, if he was to open source it and allow people to utilize the technology the way they see fit, then I don't see what the I don't see it as
see it like if it was classed as, say, like a medical device, and it was just kind of like a computer, and you could load your own apps, your own things onto it or whatever. Great, but then again, the drawback is, you know,
you gotta connect to the internet. You know,
there's no workaround unless of course you have some sort of quantum connection. But then again, you're still vulnerable. There's always back doors, you know, and that's the thing. How many back doors are put into your head? And that's a bad thing.
That's got to be quantum, right? I know that like the supercomputers and all, I know we've got really good, but you think about that, right? For the kind of cryptography side of it, you want encryption there, right? You've got to have encryption in that. I mean, that's even more no-brainer, pardon the pun, than the autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
But at that point, here's my point, though, right? Here's the thing. Here is the critical question. Is that chip a conduit? Is that super AI? Is that something that is a bridge between us and this super intelligence that we're promised? Or is it a bridge and a portal to the Ooga Boogas? Because that's where it all lies, right? That's where it all lies. Because some people are convinced this is purely satanic. It must be the work. And I can see that. I can make a case for that as well. You can line it up with Mark of the Beast, anything else, right?
You could make a case either way.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And that's the thing, is that there's more than one side to virtually everything. We live in a three-dimensional world, you know, and so
three that we know of.
that exactly right. But the three that we can interpret,
and we can't even make sense of them, Joe. We can't even make sense of them.
No, but we often look at things as like neural lace, as one-sided. Oh, it's bad. You know, Mark of the Beast. And
no, ooga booga, then a break. Yes, the Mark of the Beast got us. We'll be right back, folks. We will not assimilate. Don't worry. We'll still be the Woo Crew when we come back. Yeah. It's the most polarized kind of topic ever, I think. You know,
very much
people,
so.
You're either really into it or you're just no danger. That's the end of us.
Right.
End of. There's no.
But humans have a habit of doing that, polarizing it instead of looking at it from all angles, all sides, you know?
Well, I said to Bill, and I'll say to you, if this truly is the work of the bad one, the fiery one, the hoofed one, the horned one, you call that thing what you will, right? The jinn, the demons, whatever. Is it not said that, or would it not be that at some point then, even if it just seems like random things going wrong, like accidents, almost like a curse, the technology will never come to fruition, if you know what I mean. It will never reach the point where it hits the market. It'll be a fires randomly at like depots everywhere, or you know what I'm saying, Scott? That kind of just when it's about to go out, no, something else goes wrong. And if it's truly that evil, surely the big man steps in, right?
I think that's part of the whole reset button situation.
The glitch. Send the asteroid.
It got too crazy. It blue screened.
Yeah.
The code could. It just, that was it. It blue screened and then the computer restarted.
Oh no, they're back to this point again. How will we do it this time? Not an asteroid since the dinosaurs. Yeah. Chuck one of them in.
Like, damn it, something was wrong in that simulation code. Something went horribly awry.
Yeah, the AI, it is a topic that can definitely come with a dose of black pill. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
And as I've done on the show, you know, I listen to the other side of the debate as well. As much as I love to be optimistic about it, I'm very aware of the other side, and I just don't know what way it's going. So that's why I listen to as many people's point of views as I can, because none of us know how this is going to turn out. Not even the ones that are doing it. And there's a good case to be made that maybe Musk himself's already got a chip. Who knows? Who honestly knows at this point? Would you know it? I mean, they're making monkey pigs in China right now. Literally, it's a story we've got in the pile. Monkey pigs.
That's my point. The technology, the advancement of technology is going so rapidly in so many different arenas that I can't help but think that there's some sort of reset imminent. You know, when I say imminent,
that's what Bill said as well. We've all said it, guys, haven't we? We've all said it. We've all said it's getting like to the point of
humanity's
absurd.
Getting too cocky and it needs a good kick in the stones. That ends up being what it is, you know, or you know, the naturalist or the paladins, the witches, all those people out there. They say, "Oh, Mother Earth has a way of resetting itself or regenerating." You know, it doesn't matter how you look at it. The fact is we've run our course and we're hitting that time now where we're due for a good reset. And you know, the Bible talks about it. The history shows it's happened before. It's going to happen again.
Nostradamus
You know,
talked about
yeah, they had plenty of prophets from Jeremiah to Nostradamus. You know, it's crazy. They all talk about it.
Yeah, and
So-
Jason, I'm going to take us back to the network right now. Here we go.
Yeah.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 1 hour to go here on Freaky Friday. And then Brent Thomas, he's firing up the Stargate as we speak. He's actually got a flux capacitor attached to it today because it's going to be off the charts. Scotty Lopez is going to go on over there to the paranormal portal right after this, and he is going to share a haunting in Kansas. Yes, indeed, Scotty. Nothing going on today, no?
Nothing going on. Just my brother's friend is still freaked out about the whole incident. You know, I think this is probably be one of those things that I'm sure he'll be telling his children about eventually. You know, I had this crazy ass ghost incident over at my friend's house. You know, so just one of those things. And yeah, we're definitely gonna get into it. Me and Brent, we're gonna get into everything. We're gonna get into the experience. We're gonna get into the paranormal. We're gonna go wherever we end up in the conversation.
Well, it's going to be one of these stream of consciousness things. It's sounding good. It might turn out the way the weekend stream with Max turned out on Sunday night. Or Joe, you missed some of the finest. Absolute. It's not even golden woo, Scott.
I believe the network hung up. I believe the network hung up on us.
Let me just try and bring it back in then. Well spotted. There we go. We're back. Just like that.
There we go. We're back.
Yes, Joe, I was just saying there, Sunday, you were away to bed early. The storms were moving in. So myself and Scott, we thought we'll do a quick one. We ended up doing a 3-hour stream, dude. And we were joined by Max from Germany, who... Now, Scott, I can't call it golden woo. It's above golden woo, right?
No, this is beyond golden woo. This is some kind of ethereal sort of it's an element that does not exist on this planet. And that woo was composed of that.
Imagine, take yourself to here, Joe, right? You're talking to a guy who's very knowledgeable about one of the most unknown archaeological digs finds I've ever come across, and it was called the Erdstulls. Now, the Erdstulls are a form of tunnel that, as Max was explaining, they're under Germany, they're under Norway, and you come to find they're all the way from Eastern Europe right the way to here in Scotland. Only thing being, Joe, right, are these perfectly crafted, smooth kind of walls. It looks very high-tech, whatever it was that created it. Nobody's talking about it. And another interesting fact was, it was for, obviously, people of a time. Because nobody can even place or date these tunnels. But these people must have been very small, Joe. As in, the stuff of the Nordic and Germanic myths. You know, goblins, gnomes, this kind of thing. And then it got deeper, didn't it, Scott? Because he started translating websites. And myself and Scott had been talking about 11,000 years Göbekli Tepe, and we'd been mentioning that at one point. And then there it was, sitting there like a nugget of this freshly mined woo. 11,000 years was the date they put on it. So think of that, Joe. The people that created and then covered over Göbekli Tepe, because they say that was deliberate, right? So
absolutely,
at the same time as that, just spreading out of Turkey, going right across Europe to Scotland, you have then evidence of almost a subterranean civilization. So people cover things at Göbekli Tepe, and then there's another people living underground at right the same time. Do you think that might have been the same people, Joe? Do you think the gnomes or these little people or whoever they were, because if you're filling something in, you're obviously worried about something happening on the surface, Scott, right? It just stands to reason to me. And then you ain't getting no Nephilim type buggers down in those holes. You ain't even getting me through half of them.
You're living underground for a reason, because obviously the environment on the surface is not very nice. You know, you wouldn't be going underground just to go underground. You know, there has to be a reason for that. And yeah, you know, these tunnels being small enough to where, you know, the people finding them have to crawl on their hands and knees to get through them.
You think these little people, though, Joe, they could have been like, think of it as well, Scott. That little people we're talking about could have been the offspring from the fallen ones the time before the flood, Joe. Because if everything's cyclical, right?
Yeah.
Then this has all got to have happened before. Not just,
I would imagine maybe a different version of it, but yeah, I get it. Yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Technologies are probably different. If you look at some of the megalithic structures, right? You see the technology was different that they used to build the things with, that they used to shape the stone. So I mean, they just had different versions of things, but there's certainly enough that survived the cataclysm to give us some idea that it was different, very different.
Very, very different.
Yeah.
Good woo.
Very much so.
So where now? We've got lots more woo. In fact, I've got one here, and I'll pull it up.
Good.
This is quite interesting. It kind of sticks with woo, archaeological stuff, and really, really, really good woo. So we go here. Russia, this comes from Newsweek. A 4,000-year-old bones show mysterious community sacrificed and ate dogs to become werewolves. Yes, indeed. Members of a Bronze Age culture that lived along the Russian steppes not only practiced ritual sacrifice of dogs and wolves, their young men then ate them as part of an initiation ceremony invoking the mythological transformation into a werewolf. So his archaeologists discovered the charred remains of more than 60 canine species, almost all dogs, but a few wolves, at the Srubnyai or Naya culture settlement of Krasnosamarsko. I probably butchered that. I definitely did, right? Krasnosamarsko, there it is. Eating dogs would have been considered taboo at the time, yet researchers found evidence that the ritual was performed by this particular community repeatedly as possibly a ritual ceremony making or marking when teen boys entered manhood. Now, the paper detailing the find was published in the Journal of Anthropological Archaeology. Now, Scott, you've got a culture of people who are obviously in some way determined to become a mythological creature. Now, does that suggest to you at one point, said mythological creature roamed round their parts and was almost revered like some deity?
That's what I'm saying. They've obviously witnessed something at some point in their history to where this thing had a completely shocking effect on their culture, on their society, to where they revered this creature or saw it as some kind of a entity, right? And so definitely I think something like that existed at some point. You know, all of these stories and all of the stuff that they base their stuff on has some level of truth to it. It has to, because you just, the stuff just doesn't effervesce out of nowhere and people just make things like this up. And to base your whole society around something like that, you know, the worship of this creature, where you want to try and mimic it at all levels.
That's going to great lengths, right? Great lengths. So it goes on to say the dogs and wolves themselves were first, that's a bit kind of grotesque they were cooked. And the overall practice draws enough parallels to Indo-European mythology for the researchers to theorize about its meaning. So it could also mean that people were just hungry and times were really hard. I don't know, Scott. I'm just saying it's a bit, maybe reading a bit too much. Well, I actually think they were trying to transform themselves into a mythological werewolf out there.
But why would you be like hunting wolves and predator creatures like that?
I know, but like I say, maybe there was nothing else, dude. It was tough times. Walmart wasn't open.
I mean, we are talking about the ancient Russians. They probably would do something like that. They would probably be trying to battle wolves and probably some hardened individuals.
We've got a wonderful archaeologist down in Australia right now saying that because they're an archaeologist, they get all these journals. And you know how usually, Scott, they keep these journals away from peons like us. Well, she said that she's going to be able to unlock the woo behind there. A big shout out. And in the next, hopefully in December this month, I'm really hoping to get Mammoth Hunter and her brilliant husband on. Both of them qualified archaeologists. Congratulations to them both. And Mammoth, she's just back from a trip to America where she was receiving medical care. So glad to see you made it home safe and sound. But they're coming on, Scott, to talk about Aboriginal archaeology into the kind of woo. And I tell you what, as many shows as I listen to, and you're a podcast junkie, you're an info junkie like me, still one of the least talked subjects when you're into this kind of stuff, right? You know a lot about the Aztecs, the Mayans, you know what I'm saying? But then why it's almost weird, right?
I really wish the Aboriginal stuff would get more attention because that seems to be where some of the deepest woo exists is within the whole Aboriginal stuff. And
is it not argued they're the oldest people, the most native? Should we say that you can trace them back the longest, the old? I know they say out of Africa, right? But aren't the Aboriginals meant to be like the originals?
Yeah, and their way of life hasn't changed, as far as like all of their stories and stuff. There's no written record. It's all oral tradition and all of that. And I definitely hold the Aboriginal people sort of in the same realm of like the Anasazi and a lot of those really, really ancient Native American tribes. But the thing with the Aboriginals is that they're still around, they haven't been wiped off the planet like some of these other older ancient peoples that their culture doesn't exist anymore. The Aborigines are still there. And so I think it's really, really interesting, their whole take on everything, what the stories and the legends of their history say, because I think that gives us a lot of insight into what really happened, as opposed to what we've been taught with our watered down, edited sort of version of history that they want us to believe. I think that their whole outlook on everything gives us a little bit of insight into what really happened. Probably more like a lot of insight.
You know what? Let's take a little sneak peek, a little listen to some of the woo that we will be getting into. And you know what we do on the Kev Baker Show? Let's do it on Freaky Friday. We'll go to the people on the ground, Scott, right? And we'll go and listen to an actual Aboriginal elder. Take a little listen to this for probably what's going to be wisdom and knowledge of a deep, deep level. In fact, I don't even know if you people... in fact, I better not. I don't know if this will go across. If people on the TFR chat room can tell me if they hear this. It's like wind blowing just now.
Yeah, we're not hearing it on the Skype end.
We're not going to be able to do it then. Joe made me change all of my settings before the show. I know. It couldn't have been his thing that was wrong, right? It must have been mine. You know, the man that plays with webcams and his microphones every week. But yeah, what I'll do is...
I can play it. I can play it if you want.
Yeah, you play it, dude. Play the audio. Yeah, because then we'll get the audio. Here we go. That'll be perfect, man. Because I want to hear this. I want to hear, you know...
Is that Cheech?
No, it's not Cheech. It's an Australian elder who's going to talk about how the land owns us. So Scott's queuing that up. Yeah, this will be quite good, I think, man. I was saying, though, Joe, I mean, we're going to have a couple of guests on from down under very soon. A couple of archaeologists, and we're going to talk about the Aboriginals and things as well. And I was saying to Scotty, you know, I think they're considered to be like the oldest kind of people on the earth, right? And Joe's frozen and he's glitched out. So Scott, just take it away, man.
Right. Let's do it. Well, let's see. Are we going to play?
Yeah, if you fast forward a little bit, maybe, because it just blows wind for about 30 seconds.
We're here at Mutijula, you know, right beside Uluru, you know, the home of my ancestors. And it was in that area there called Tempe Downs where I came out. And that's why the police were brought in. And that's how I was taken, you know, at that time by a police officer into Alice Spring. As like so many kids who then now refer to as the stolen generation.
Bush Tucker, man. That Crocodile Dundee going on there, man.
But of course, bush living was bush. You totally took most of your...
Scott, they can't hear it. In fact, no, they can. Maybe they can now. That was an old comment. It's okay.
People of the land. To us, it was a natural way of being. Being part of all that there is was just the way you was. You didn't see anything any different from you. It was just a way of life that was inclusive of all that there is through life.
Scott, pause that a minute.
Life is the binding and the connecting way the oneness is. If you're alive, you connect to everything else that is alive. But that oneness included everything that was around us, and you was raised with that teachings from a child upwards. You know, the relationship and our relationship system for our people here. See, my people see land ownership as being totally different to the English way of ownership, because ours used to be really the land owns us, and it still is that to us. You know, the land grows all of us up, and it really does. No human is older than the land itself. It's no living marsupial is as old as the land.
Dang, dude, that was gross.
With life in the flesh has died, but the land is still here.
Wow, wow, wow.
Part of land which has been handed down to you by your ancestors, we say the granny law, has given me my responsibility now that I'm grown up to care for my country, care for my mother, care for everything that is around me, the oneness, the completeness of that oneness. to be responsible in both caring, in every single way, which we call the kanyini, caring with unconditional love, with the responsibility. You feel that so well, that you feel good when you're in that space, and you kind of feel you're living with family when you include everything that is alive in that space. And that it's a huge space, and there's a lot of specimens of everything you could possibly imagine there with you. And then you grow up knowing that these are all your family. You can never feel lonely in that situation. You know, you just can't. How can you when all around you is family members, from this ground up to all the trees around you, to the clouds hanging up around you, the birds flying by, the animals and reptiles that are just hidden in the shrub there for now, you know, but can come out if they want to, hunt around for their little food, you know, and then they can become food for us as well. You know, it is a beautiful way of being. It doesn't push anyone out, but it brings everybody in. And the completeness of being who you are, where you are, is a really good feeling.
Wow.
Can I identify as an Aborigine, please? Can I? Because I tell you what, that sounds like the schnizzles to me, man.
They know that you have to live in harmony. Like,
Right.
basically, that's what it is that you've got to find that balance and live in harmony with everything around you. And that obviously seems to be a trait that we've lost, right? As you know, humanity has really moved in a direction where we've lost the ability to live in harmony with everything
Yeah,
around
nothing's
us.
really balanced anymore, is it?
No. I mean, there's, you know, what's the opposite of harmony? It's like discord, right? And that is all that surrounds people 24/7 is discord. You know, we're divided on this, we're divided on that, we're afraid of our neighbor, we're afraid of everything. You know, we don't even we can't even live in harmony with ourselves, let alone live in harmony with our environment around us. You know what I mean?
So then would you say that KBS then brings people together through Discord?
I think we've got something good. I think we do, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like out of chaos order. All of a sudden, I'm kind of seeing a very subliminal programming mechanism by Kev Google Baker.
What have I done now?
Just be
Out of
one with
chaos order.
just be one
together
with
through
nature,
Discord.
man.
Be
Just,
one with
just be
nature,
one,
man.
and everything will be just fine in our new.
As I control you.
That's terrible. See what I've got brought up here, folks? It's
Oh my
unbelievable.
God.
I try and bring people together, and this is the crap you get, you know? I tell you, eh? Shocking,
Hey,
man.
there's not much discord as far as our chat room seems to synergize and get along with each other.
I'm
so.
very proud of the audience that we have built up over the years.
But through Discord, they come together.
We plot to take over the world. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's where we.
Is that subliminal? Is that another subliminal company name? Let's name our platform Discord.
I'd thought that. You know, that's an interesting name choice. I'd thought that before. You know,
Chaos, because Discord is kind of like chaotic.
it kind of is chaotic. The KBS Discord. And if anyone would like to join the madness and become part of my movement, then please email me at kbsdiscord@protonmail.com, and I'll shamelessly plug the whatever we have going on there. But no, I do think we have got something a little different, and it's truth frequency. I've noticed this ever since we've been on the network. And Joe, you've known Chris and Cherie long before they created the network. I'm sure everyone bigs their own network up. But look over the years, the amount of connections that have been made via Truth Frequency. And we're laughing and joking here, but there's like lifetime friendships and things have been made because people have come together to listen to the shows. We've all been listeners before we were on the network. You know, and we've managed to carry that on over the years. Freaky Friday in particular really resonates with people. So I'm proud of the fact that we've managed to connect so many like-minded people. I think that's something we should be proud of because we can't change the world. That'd be ridiculous. But if maybe we've made some person out there who might have felt a bit alone, a bit lost, and now they feel like part of a group and that makes them feel better and happier because they don't feel like they're going mad, dude, I think that's more than you could hope for.
And that's one of the positive aspects of the internet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How bad it is for everything to be interconnected, but that is one of the positive effects that the internet had, right? Was for people to be able to interact with each other, share their experiences, connect with like-minded people, and not feel so alone out there, right? And so, and then just the amount of information that people have at their fingertips now, right? I mean, it's actually quite amazing what the internet has made possible.
Yes, we are about to go to the break, and it's the final segment of today's Freaky Friday. Don't go anywhere. Right, come on, chaps. Let's dial up the woo to like maximum. But like you were saying there, Scott, about the internet and it being two-way. They knew when they done the internet, they knew it would be a trade-off. They knew there would be a period when people would have access to everything, but I don't think they appreciated how many people that would affect. Like, as in, really start
That's what I'm saying. Like, they didn't anticipate the boomerang effect that it would have on them.
Oh, I like that, Australia. I like how you kept that kind of going there. You didn't even intend it. The unintentional puns. Yeah. Coincidence, Scott? A synchronism? I'm just saying.
The boomerang effect, mate.
G'day, Spot. Oh, my light is gone. Damn it. Damn them all.
It's okay, Kev. It's okay. So, yeah, I think the whole thing with the Aborigines, though, going back to them, I think it's really, really cool. And how they have that ancient oral tradition that has been passed down. I mean, that's pretty cool because even if you're, like, say we see a lot of these legends that we can only translate from writing, you know, like these ancient dead languages, you know, they're trying to translate the Sanskrit and all of that stuff, you know, from that time frame where they're talking about the Anunnaki and all that stuff. But here you have a group of people who have that knowledge, but it's just in the oral tradition, you know, spoken language. And so as long as they exist, as long as the Aborigines are still around, then they'll always carry that. But it is kind of unfortunate that there is no writing, right? That there is no way that they could document it. It'd be interesting to get some of those elders and just transcribe what they say and get all that down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So much of it an oral tradition. You're right there. Yes.
And if something was to ever happen to them,
Ken in the chat, I know. That's why I get on with Aussies so much. And you got to appreciate growing up in Fort Augustus. We had a lot of people coming there for summer work, and for some reason, none of us locals could ever figure it out. But the Australians would find bar work and hotel work in Fort Augustus and would be thinking, you're swapping Bondi Beach for like a Scottish weather. But then we realised what it was. They're the only other nation on earth that can keep up with Scottish people when it comes to drinking. They are unbelievable. They're bottomless. It's like they've got some orifice that you don't see where the alcohol comes out. They can just keep going and going. And of course, they've got one of the most Amazing accents in the universe. Just saying. Just saying. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. We're going back live. Yes, Joe, I'm very toxic when it comes to Australians. Yes, indeed. Indeed, indeed, indeed.
And,
Extremely toxic.
Extremely.
I'm going to shoot away for a few minutes, guys.
Yes, no problem, Scott. No problem.
Drinks.
Remember, I want to know everything you done while you were away. I want it all. I keep I keep you on a close leash, you know.
Yes. Yeah. I will file my report.
Here we go.
As soon as
Here we go. It's okay, dude. It's okay. I got you a creepy doll to watch you all year round. No, that was creepy. I've got the Wookiee. We are moving into the final segment, Joe Joseph. Can you believe it? Of today's Freaky Friday.
That was a very, very, very good Wookiee impression, I have to admit.
What do you think, though, of the whole kind of Australian angle, dude? That's an old set of people there.
Very interesting indeed, yes.
Do you not think, though, that probably is... Joe's going to wait for it. I think, though, listening to that guy there, you know, we do, and it's hard to even imagine, you know. I grew up in a rural area, so it's not hard for me to imagine, like, country life, things like that, living on the land. But more so in my adult life, I've always been in the big kind of cities, moving around in the army, and now here I am in a smart city. The exact opposite of what that Aboriginal elder was talking about, you know, being connected to the land, that whole kind of natural cycle. And Joe, I know it's hard for us to imagine with the technological world we're in now, but you experienced it kind of when you were in North Carolina. You were almost off the grid. I mean, you were basically, you know, as close to, damn it, what that guy was talking about. I get it, you're still going shops and stuff like that, but living away out of the sprawling city, that in itself, what a change that can make to somebody's way of life, right?
Absolutely. And a much more simple life. But at the same time, not. You know what I mean? Because there's no conveniences at all. You know, you lose power at the drop of a hat. And then to recover it takes a long time. Internet, almost non-existent. So it's a lifestyle change. There's no doubt. But, you know, it's like everything. There's benefits and then there's not. So it really depends on what you prefer, you know. But I got to tell you, there's nothing like being out where there's no light pollution. There's nothing like being out where it's quiet, you know. And then the privacy, being able to do things without feeling like you live in a fishbowl. All of those things, you know, kind of change the way you perceive the world in a way. And if you're one of the few fortunate people out there, and it's a growing number of people, I'd say, that have moved to online careers where they either telework or maybe they have an online business or something like that. You can really live anywhere you want, as long as, you know, you got a good shot to a satellite, or you have Wi-Fi, or, you know, some sort of internet service. But yeah, and believe it or not, folks, a lot of places here in America there's still huge swaths of area that don't have internet, don't have telephone, technology dead zones they're called. And that's part of the reason why there's such an urgency to update the infrastructure, and why Musk put his Starlink up there, because you're trying to get coverage to those areas where it's traditionally been non-existent. And who knows, you know, maybe you do that and you open up these areas. Maybe they start to get built up. Maybe you have a little more urban sprawl. I don't know, you know. I don't know what the long-term effects are of that, but I'd be interested to see how Starlink actually works and plays out.
Yeah.
You know, minus the whole health effect thing aside.
You see, I don't get into that because part of the science not being settled means either side isn't settled for me.
Oh, absolutely right.
So I'm not going to try and talk about something and possibly scare people away from a technology where I live in 5G now, Joe. And again, I get it. Long term, it could have horrendous effects. But for me, the science hasn't been settled on either side. So I look at the surveillance part of the smart city, the 5G stuff. That's terrifying enough as it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. So I mean, I don't know if you. I don't think there's going to be many places here soon that you can escape it.
No, and in China, on the 1st of December.
Oh, that place is nuts.
Now, think of where you lived in North Carolina, okay?
Right.
And you think to yourself, well, I need to get some kind of internet connection. And even though you're totally like off the grid, you're kind of self-sustained and you need to get that internet connection. ISP providers in China, and I would imagine this is going to go worldwide eventually, but you have to register and get a facial recognition ID before your provider is even allowed to put any of the connections into your home, Joe. So there's how your people out the grid again. You know, you live out the city, that's okay, because if you want the internet, the only way you're going to sign in soon is going to be facial. I honestly think that's going to be the way of it. And then we're all already used to having cameras on us. And of course, you'll get the people who are quite happy with the convenient ads that they get. They'll turn around and say, well, this is entirely safe. It's okay we sign in with our faces. Well, so it's okay that there's cameras watching your face in detail all the time to see if you're signing in or not. It's crazy. You see how it gets there very, very fast.
The biometric
Absolutely.
stuff. Yeah, it's the biometric stuff, and that's the direction they want to take everybody. You know, you don't even have to have a microchip in a situation like that, right? You just have a surveillance grid that covers almost every single, inch of the surface of the planet, if you think about it, right? Do you really need to microchip somebody in order to track where they're at? No, you don't. And most people now already have their microchip with them, called their phone. I don't think it's going to come to this point to where everybody's being microchipped. Like, you hear a lot of that Mark of the Beast talk about, well, everyone's got to get the chip. No, that's not even really necessary at this point.
Now, have you seen the video that's gone viral of the homeless in Texas where they're getting microchipped?
No. That's interesting.
Yeah, and well, watch this space over the weekend, folks. I know people, it's a divisive topic as Elon Musk and AI is, but you either love him or hate him. It's the Texan himself, and they've been working on something, and they said that they're going to probably be on over the weekend, and there's been a video that came out earlier on in the week that showed, like I say, homeless people been offered or been told to take the chip. They're getting put up in hotels. They're meant to be getting told that there's something big going to be happening. Don't worry about it. And like I say, there is a video out there. Certainly seems legit, Scott. And that's a good way to start sneaking it in, right? Again, you take advantage of people when they're at their lowest ebb, when you've got nothing. If you take this chip, we can give you a nice bed for the night. We can get you off the streets, you'll be nice and safe. A hotel in some cases. So I don't know, I'm going to watch over the weekend, but they say they've got footage of this going on. They've been in some of the hotels where it's happening. I don't know. I'm being as honest as I can here, folks. I'm only relaying what I've heard on this topic. But it would make sense, right?
If you look throughout history, who are utilized for these kind of tests? Well, it's usually the homeless. It's usually people in prisons, or even people in the military, right? Where the government basically says, well, we own you, So if there's any kind of test we want to do, we're going to do it, right? It's usually the kind of the dregs of society that they experiment this stuff on, that they do run these trials, they run these tests, they try to see things. So to take a bunch of homeless people and say, well, hey, let's run our little experiment. Let's run our little thing on a bunch of homeless people. Microchip them. They won't care. You promise them something that'll help improve their life, or give them something to, and they'll take it. So it's very similar to, like, to me, it sounds like the way that they microchip animals.
Yeah, very much so.
Track where these people are, or be able to, like, ping their tracker and figure out where they're at. And
I was just trying to find the actual story there, just to read a bit of it out, just so we get it right, in case I've kind of relayed some of it and I'm off. You know how some people sit and pick over that, Scott? You make the most innocent of errors, and they think, that baker, he was at it there, so he was.
Oh, people would never do that.
No, of course not.
People would never try and dismantle somebody based off of. Yeah.
So you're looking forward to going on to the paranormal portal?
Oh, absolutely. I'm absolutely, I'm hyped up. I'm ready to rock and roll. That's why I had to pop away for a second, kind of grab something to drink. And
so it says here, I've got the story now, folks. Sorry, Scott.
No, that's fine.
Just while I find it, before I forget, I've had this real habit. I don't know if it's like just me, but getting really kind of like, I start one story and then I forget what I started, and I go into another one. But even like away from the radio, even away from the radio, I don't know, dude. My head's all over the place. It's like weird. I don't know. Easily confused.
It's info overload, Kev.
Could be.
I think there's just a lot of stuff going on right now that we're trying to process.
A lot of it. It feels like there's nothing going on, and then when you sit back and think about it, there's so much going on. It's like
there's a lot going on.
Yeah. So it says here, unintentional viral video of microchipping homeless in Austin explodes. Now, I'll drop that in the chat room for people to check out over there, tfrlive.com/chat. And what it goes on to say here is, transient describes a globalist population control program while receiving a haircut. So an Austin homeless man revealed how homeless people around the city are being approached to receive an implantable microchip, a phenomenon InfoWars first reported on months ago. Now, in the following video, a homeless man receiving a barbershop haircut discusses how one shelter required they receive injectable microchips prior to entry. Now, like I say, I'm not going to play the video, but you can check it out on the link provided. And it says, quote, "We asked them about it, and they were like, we'll give further, like, information, like, when you get to the warehouse," the man tells the interviewer. It's some kind of chip, I guess. Some kind of device you put on your body, and then all you do is scan, and then you don't have to pay for anything anymore. You just scan. Now, the homeless man's revelations have caused the video to go viral, receiving over 1.4 million views in a matter of days. Now, the crazy, wild Texan himself, the man with no name, first brought you the news of the UN social engineering plan last October, breaking down the Austin, Texas rollout of the UN's ID 2020 microchip vaccination program being tested on vulnerable groups.
Yum.
Yeah, Owen Schroyer, the soy boy with a beard, also took to the streets of Austin and asked homeless individuals what they thought about the creepy program. They said it's not as creepy as you, Owen, but I'm only joking. No, I'm only joking. Let's see what it says here. Let's see what they have to say. Oh, we won't be able to hear it on my end anyway, so it's too long. I've dropped the links in the chat room. Check it out, folks. But what do you think, Scott? I don't think we can take somebody at their word, although it fits things that we've seen before.
I mean, this doesn't surprise me. And obviously, if you look at the way Austin has gone, it has basically become one of these model cities, much like Glasgow, right?
Yeah.
They're wanting to model Austin to be this smart city. It's basically become a little pocket of Silicon Valley in California that has basically popped up out, in the middle of Texas. A lot of those same people are doing a lot of investment in Austin. They just opened that iPhone facility, right? Apple has moved into Austin. I believe they said it's like the third biggest Apple facility, the third or second biggest Apple facility in the plant, on the globe. So no, it doesn't surprise me that they would be doing this to the homeless population in Austin. They obviously are trying some of this.
And if this works, this is the way they bring it in, Scott. We go back to what I said earlier, right? You collapse everything, you tear it down.
And they're going to do it under the guise of, well, we're doing it to help the homeless, right? Because now there's this whole discussion that everybody is having now about, well, what do you do with the homeless population? They're talking about it in the UK. They're talking about it here in the US, right? The homelessness problem is just huge in California, where there's just homeless people everywhere, right?
I even hate that term. I even hate that term, though, the homeless. They're just people without somewhere to live, Scott,
what
not against you, but it's like these.
Roughs.
Yeah, these people that pretend that they're like so championing their cause and everything. That all right, cool, but I think there's probably better ways. It's semantics, I know that, but at the same time,
how do you guys in the UA say it? Rough sleepers?
Yeah, you sleep rough. Yeah, you call it in Glasgow. It's called skippering because like a skip's a bin, and some people like literally get into the empty skips. So.
Yeah, but so there's this big discussion now about how to solve this problem. You have the president weighing in on it. It's just become this huge issue, and of course that has to do a lot with the way society has been steered and this sort of collapse that is imminent. Or this kind of societal breakdown that is occurring, and so now the solutions, right? Here we go. It's a problem reaction solution. Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the problem? Oh, well, there's a bunch of people who don't have a place to live. There's a bunch of homeless people everywhere. How do we then there's a reaction. People are like, hey, fix this problem. Why is there a bunch of homeless people here in San Francisco all over the place and needles on the ground and people defecating in the streets? We have to solve this problem. This is an issue. And then what's the solution? Well, hey, if you're one of these homeless people, come on in, get the microchip. Then we can shack you up in an apartment. That
FEMA hotel.
Yeah, FEMA hotel. There you go. I mean, really, or they're going to put you in one of these, kind of like these higher, kind of like slum apartment complexes or something like that. But the stipulation is okay, we'll take care of all your needs. We'll give you a basic, some food, a little bit of money, right? And the trade-off is we have to track you 24/7. You have to take this chip and we're going to check in on what you're doing at any given moment in order for you to, you want us to take care of you. You've got to give up a little bit of your privacy to us. We got to keep tabs on you. We got to know what you're doing.
Same with the basic, universal basic income. People all losing their jobs if it goes that way with the robots and things. People need money. Oh, we've got money for you. We can give you like $2,000 a month for not free. Just take it. Take that money. But there's only one problem though. If you want to pick up your money, you need to scan your chip. For $2,000 a month, you'll have queues around the block, dude. Queues around the block. They won't be able to chip people fast enough in Glasgow. Telling you, man.
A funny little fact here. I should let the people know. I'm not going to. I'm not going to say my friend's name, but he is one of the individuals that was chosen by Andrew Yang to receive $1,000 a month. You know, because Yang wants to do this whole UBI thing. And he was one of the ones chosen, which is pretty crazy. You have people talking about this universal basic income situation, and on the surface it sounds nice, right?
Oh, great! Free money. Roll up.
Who doesn't want $1,000? You know, an extra 1,000 a month.
Scott, come on! I come cheap. I love people long time for $5. Me love you long time.
But what are the stipulations of that?
Shh, don't worry about that. Just look here. Just look at all the benefits you get. Oh, look, you get like shopping tokens as well for like Asda or Walmart or whatever place you go to.
Yeah. What's the old saying? There's no such thing as a free lunch.
No such thing as a free app either. That should be the,
Exactly.
you know, no such thing as a free app. That should be the technological age version of the free lunch, you know. Definitely. Dang, dude.
Yes.
We're only 6 minutes away from you having to shift gears, right? And then
Yes,
you're going to like...
I'll be taking a 30-minute break. I'll be taking a 30-minute break, and then once the second segment of Paranormal Portal kicks on, me and Brent, we're gonna dive into it.
That's right. Going down Brent's portal.
Yes, going right down Brent's portal, Joe. Yes.
Go get him, cowboy.
Yes.
Telling you. I'm looking forward to that. Takes me a wee while to wind down, so I'm going to be playing that in the background. And so will you out there. All you got to do is stay tuned on tfrlive.com. Maybe you're on iHeartRadio, TuneIn radio apps. We go out everywhere. Here, there, everywhere. Every when, maybe. Maybe we're interdimensional as well, guys. Maybe we're like huge, absolutely huge in another dimension somewhere where there's like, I'm talking like Bieber amounts of fans, you know. They just see pictures of Joe and it's like a North Korean kind of love fest for Joe. You know what I'm saying?
Do I get to ride my white horse up to Mount Pakuku? And
dude, you can do whatever the heck you like. Honestly, man, you've got like the freedom of this land, wherever it is. Yeah, Jordy says it's out there somewhere. Just fire up the D-Wave. We'll get it one of these times. We'll hit the right dimension, dude.
Let's do it. I wonder if he does. I wonder if like if old Kimmy Boy has like a secret cave and they're like trying to, and there's like an ancient pool or something like that, you know, maybe hits a gong, bwang, and there it goes, and he goes to like ancient whatever.
Dude, you know, even like if he thinks that gong is going to send him somewhere, are you going to be the guy that tells him it really hasn't sent him anywhere? Or are you going to play along with his insanity?
You just keep putting the drops in his drink and making him think he's going there.
Yeah, you don't want... You see how he deals with ex-employees and family members that he's not happy at? But I also think North Korea could be the most misrepresented country in the world. I think
so?
No, but it could be because we often lie. We all say, right, the media lies to us. And apart from Dennis Rodman, I don't know many people that have actually been to North Korea. So I don't know. We often say I wasn't there. I don't know. And the same media that told us that Saddam was like treating his people, throwing babies out of incubators, the same people that tell us that Syria's a hellhole and Assad was doing things that months later it gets proven he couldn't possibly do. But because it's North Korea, I'm just going to believe them now. And I'm not saying it's nice over there. I really ain't. I'm sure they've got worse than the hand. I'm not.
I'm sure your Google handlers have told you to.
I knew it was coming.
Propagandize North Korea too while you're at it. It's okay. Go ahead.
I knew it was coming.
I'll just take my toxic Americana with me. You know, that's what I'm gonna do.
Oh, I knew it was coming. You know,
I'm shilling for the North Koreans
because America.
Dang, dude. Dang. I don't know, boys. I don't know. I will be having a word.
We all know who's aligned with the North Koreans. It's the Chinese.
Take your
And
tomfoolery elsewhere.
space to China.
I
will be having a word with the handler about you, Joe Joseph.
I know you probably had more than one. She opens up the file. Yes, I want to talk to you about that.
So now, not only have I got North Korean connections, but I've got a Russian handler. This is a right United Nations gig going on now, isn't it? Eh?
You think she has a dossier on Kev?
I think so. I think she's got a dossier on everybody.
Yeah, they sure knew who to send, because I tell you what, she can have a dossier on me anytime. And with that in mind, ladies and gents, don't go anywhere, because like we say, Scotty Lopez is coming up after the break. He's going to be the special guest on Brent Thomas's show, Paranormal Portal. You go from the abnormal to the paranormal and then beyond with Brent after the break. We've had a wonderful time here this week. Joe Joseph, it's been great to share airtime with you as it always is. I just love being on air with you, Joe.
It's a happy action fun time for everybody.
Isn't it? And we don't even ask each other for $5.
No,
none of that. Scotty Lopez, right. my protege, you know, my asset. You know, in intelligence speak. We're out of here, folks. Keep it real. Yep. Keep it TFR. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And a big shout out to everyone that tuned in on YouTube. Thank you to all of the super chats, all of the new members on the channel. I haven't seen it yet, but if you are a member, please let me know if the new experiment that we're a part of and you see yourself smiley little avatar on other videos saying thank you for being a friend of the Kev Baker Show on Google, please let me know, because I've got an iPhone, and I think it's only out on Androids so far. So please let me know about that. And if you want to become a member, all you got to do, head on over to the channel page, click join. You'll get your name in green. You might even be promoted and get a wrench in blue. But all of that unlocks the new emojis. Yes, we've got crazy emojis here. We've even got AOC. And we're only 11 away from our next new emoji. And you get the VIP stream on a Sunday. So with that in mind, I will bid you farewell. And Joe, I know you like to give your monologue as we leave the show, so I'll pass over to you.
Well, it was the best of times.
We've got a miserable advert like that over here, Joe.
Look at that. What a nice miserable advert.
They've got a child that walks about going, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It's the most woke, miserable advert in the world. It's so depressing. A young child being so miserable and depressed.
And here I am thinking that you would enjoy it because of its wokeness.
Imagine that. Imagine me being triggered at that.
I mean, that's crazy. Okay, well, hey.
We need to get out here so Scott can go and prepare.
Oh, well, I bid you all adieu.
Yes, for all of you out there, I will see you guys here in about 30 minutes on the Paranormal Portal. And we'll be getting into deep woo.
Deep personal woo.
Yes, indeed. So with that, I shall catch you guys later.
Yes, indeed. And we are out of here, folks. Remember, keep your mind open, keep looking for woo, but not to the point where the brain turns to black goo. And I'm going to put on some really crappy music to play us out because I know Joe loves it. In fact, is that not you? No, that's another. That's not bad. Not bad, right? You can't hear it anyway.
No, we don't hear anything.
Do you hear it out there in the chat room?
It's perfect. And with that,
because you broke my damn thing, dude. You broke it, right? We're out of here, folks. Au revoir, goodbye, good night. And I'll be back tomorrow on the mainstream. And because Joe broke my machine, no music tonight. We're just out of here. Love yous and leave yous. Bye-bye now.